Top of the fourth, Michigan on top 1-0. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Vansena had 0-1 here in the top of the fourth. For the second time this game, he's facing Jeremy Stidham, who struck out swinging back in the first. The 0-1 pitch misses low to run the count to 1-1.
Michigan outfield average depth a little bit deep, shaded to left center field where the wind is blowing.
The 1-1 misses low to run the count to 2-1.
Stidham
Tapper sent foul towards the Michigan dugout. Keeps the count at 2-2.
Stidham, one of the more significant power threats in this lineup. He's got 3 homers so far, 12 RBIs on the year, slugging .489.
The 2-2 pitch swung on. The diving stop made by Berdar. No throw coming as it fell out of the glove at the last second, but he keeps it in the infield. So Stidham reaches on an infield single, the second hit of the game for the Eagles. And the leadoff man here in the top of the fourth, and the tying runner now at first in the form of Stidham at first base, and that brings up the designated hitter, Brennan Williams.
And even if that one doesn't fall out of the glove, that was one he had no shot on. He was so far deep in the hole. It was a nice play, diving stop there by Berdar, but hustling down the line was Stidham, and he really had no chance.
First pitch misses the zone for a ball, 1-0. Michigan leading 1-0 here in the top of the fourth over the Eastern Michigan Eagles. The pitch and the bunt shown sent well foul down the third baseline. Never had a chance of staying in fair territory as the Eagles appear set to play some small ball, trying to advance the potential tying run into scoring position in the form of Stidham.
Stidham does have good speed over there, 8 of 12 on the year stealing.
The pickoff attempt from Vansena on the money with the throw, just a step or two behind the diving Stidham.
Nice little jump hook there by Bivens, tossing it back.
Stidham 8 for 12 this year on stolen base attempts as once again the bunt laid down, and once again it sent well foul off the bat of the designated hitter, Brennan Williams, who struck out looking back in the first.
Yeah, really 2 poor bunt attempts there by Williams, and now he's put himself in a little bit of a hole here.
With 2 strikes against him, interesting to see if Williams shows bunt again. He's swinging all the way, and wisely does. He's going to send this to the right field wall, giving chases Engelman, and they're going to wave Stidham home. The throw from Thomas to the plate. The tag applied in time. A great relay throw by Engelman. He found K.O. Thomas, who fired it home and went and applied the tag. And they get Stidham, who made the run all the way from first to home. And the Wolverines preserve their 1-run lead. And that couldn't have been any more textbook in terms of defensive play. The right fielder to the second baseman, to the catcher, and the tag applied with a beat or two to the spare. Absolutely perfect defense by the Maize and Blue there.
Yeah, that's one where Engelman was looking for the pull hit, but instead it goes the other way. Excuse me, it was pulled down the right field line, and Engelman able to chase it down quickly. We'll see a pickoff throw here over to second base.
So 1 away here in the top of the fourth. Michigan still on top 1-0 after Brennan Williams doubles to right field. But Stidham a bit aggressive. He was also sent home by the third base coach, Eric Roof. Another hardliner, this time foul down the right field line into the Eastern Michigan bullpen. Keeps the count 0-1.
Yeah, really first hard contact we've seen. We saw that hard hit ground ball to start things off by Stidham, then that pull double over to right field, and a little bit more hard contact, maybe perhaps getting a read on Van Senna the second time through the order.
The 0-1 pitch swung on, sent to the first baseman, Bivens, who scoops it up himself unassisted to the bag at first for out number 2. As Brennan Williams moves 90 feet closer to the tying run, he's now at third. With 2 away here in the top of the 4th, Michigan still leading Eastern Michigan 1-0. Van Senna, a nice response, though, inducing the infield grounder. And that will bring up Nick Jones. And with 2 away, he's got to not only put this one in play, but also reach first safely as well to tie up this game with Brennan Williams at third base.
Jones did single as the second man up in that second inning.
A breaking ball, low and outside, runs the count to 1-0 to Nick Jones with 2 away here in the top of the 4th. Van Senna now at 44 pitches in this game, trying to escape the 4th, still holding Eastern scoreless. The 1-0, in at the knees, fastball, evens the count at 1-1.
Jones at third today.
The 1-1 pitch sent back up the middle. Berdar is there. The shortstop fires to first in time for out number 3. Eastern Michigan strands a man at third, but the great defensive play from Engelman in right field, connecting with Thomas, who fired it home to get the potential tying run out at the plate, sends us to the bottom of the 4th. Michigan still on top 1-0. And that's really one of those moments. The reason they play these non-conference midweek games against inferior opponents is not necessarily to boost their resume or their RPI or anything. It's to work on the fundamentals against a different opponent. And we saw it perfectly executed there. The type of play you learn in the Little League, to see it come to fruition at this level of baseball really has to inspire Eric Bakich and his coaching staff.
Yeah, and speaking of those fundamentals, one thing Michigan can do is capitalize on these opportunities. They've had numerous opportunities in the first 3 innings to push some runs across, but just haven't really been able to get it done, aside from that one run that came in on a ground out into a double play, which is arguably the worst way you want to see a run come across. So Michigan will have their 6, 7, 8 hitters due up, and as we've mentioned numerous times, threats up and down this lineup, but really got to start converting on these opportunities. We saw Eastern Michigan was about a foot or 2 away from tying up this game, and the longer they go, the more confidence they'll have. And one swing of the bat, this isn't a very hard-hitting Eastern Michigan team, but you never know what can happen on a windy day here in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, in a one-run game, as you see, as we saw a moment ago, it just takes a guy who tries to lay down unsuccessfully 2 straight bunt attempts, then hits a liner down the right field line, and all of a sudden, you know, Michigan's seconds away from seeing this game tied if it's not for a perfect defensive play from Engelman to Thomas. If any part of that relay is off, we have a tie game right now. So as you said, you want to give yourself some cushion, especially to reward your pitcher and Jace Van Senna, who's looked very good through 4 innings of work. Kevin Schul matching him nearly run for run. He's only allowed 1. That came back in the 2nd. Ready to get underway here in the bottom of the 4th. He's at 59 pitches coming in to this inning. Pitch number 60 is low and outside, and that's now the 2nd most pitches he's thrown in an outing this season.
And in spite of that, no one warming up in the Eastern Michigan bullpen down the right field line.
The 1-0 got a piece of the leg of Jake Bivens off the dirt, so it's not going to leave any bruise or anything, and he'll gladly stride over to first. The second hit by pitch granted by Kevin Schul so far in this game. And for the 3rd time in 4 innings, the leadoff man for the Maize and Blue is aboard safely at first base.
And that's 11 hit by pitches on the year for Jake Bivens. We mentioned not having the year he wanted at the plate. He was a guy that routinely was more of a 300 hitter in his first couple of years here at Michigan, and only sitting in the 250s right now, but finding ways to get on base. And he's over 400 on the on-base percentage on the year. He's reached safely both times thus far.
The question is, Michigan at some point send Bivens to try to swipe second? He's 14 for 16 this year. A first pitch strike delivered to the designated hitter, Nick Poirier, who singled back in the 2nd. A right-hander batting .337 on the year. 302 with runners on base, which he has in the form of Jake Bivens, who's at first. Inside pitch. Called strike on the breaking ball.
Nice breaking ball there. Not a lot the lefty can do there. That's just right down at the knees on the inside corner.
That's one that's going to ring on the hands if he was able to foul that one off. But as you said, at that point in the strike zone, no chance for Poirier to put that one in play effectively. The 0-2 outside. A well-disguised pitch out, I would guess, with the count at 0-2. And it looked for a moment like Bivens might try to swipe second. Still a couple pitches to waste for Kevin Schul, who's ahead 1-2 to the designated hitter, Nick Poirier. The 1-2 not coming yet. A pickoff attempt behind the diving Bivens. We'll do it again at 1-2. Schul trying to get his second pickoff of the game.
Bivens with a sizable lead over there at first.
The 1-2 pitch. A swing and a miss. Well behind that one was Poirier, who tried to get defensive, but it was a bit too late there. As not sure what was on at that, if it was supposed to be a hit and run that Bivens either bailed on at the last second, or if Poirier just knew his demise was coming and didn't want to go down looking. Either way, it's a strikeout for Kevin Schul, who now is 3 this afternoon. 1 away in the bottom of the 4th. Michigan still leading 1-0 with Jake Bivens still at first base. At some point, you have to think Eric Bakich is going to send it, though.
Yeah, they've had runners every single inning thus far, but only that one attempt, and that was on a 3-1 count where the next pitch ended up being ball 4. And there's been a lot of starting and stopping, getting the head of Schul, but it hasn't really affected him too much, and he's thrown out Thomas over there, picked him off at first.
1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. The runner going all the way. He got a great jump, and he dives in safely. The first stolen base of the afternoon for the second best base stealing team in the country. The Michigan Wolverines move a runner in scoring position in the form of Jake Bivens, who got an excellent jump on that one.
Yeah, great jump there. Great speed by Bivens, and moved himself into scoring position with 1 out. Should be able to score on any hard hit ball to the outfield.
Engelman, who's 0 for 1 on the day, grounded into that double play back in the second. That also played the 1 run in this game, but not credited for the RBI, obviously, with the 2 outs coming via his infield grounder. He's behind 0-1 and stepped out of the batter's box to take a couple more practice cuts.
Engelman coming off that great defensive play, chasing down the ball off of the bat of Williams and able to fire it to the cutoff man Thomas, who fired it home and preserved Michigan's 1-1 lead, looking to add to it here.
The 0-1 pitch from Schul to Engelman, swung on, sent foul down the third base line. Right now, we're in a unique situation. You don't often see games won without a single RBI, but as it currently stands, Michigan leading 1-0 and no RBI to account for it. Bivens at second. The infield shaded slightly to the left with Nick Jones, the third baseman, hugging the third base line. And the count 0-2 to Engelman with a runner at second, 1 away here in the bottom of the 4th. Michigan on top of Eastern Michigan, 1-0. The 0-2 pitch, Engelman going, and this ball is slapped into center field. Engelman's going to have to track back to second. He's sprinting hard. The throw to second is not going to come nearly in time, as Engelman had to track back, perhaps the hit and run on. But Engelman sent a fly ball into center field, and Stidham threw it back to his cutoff man as Engelman had to track back. He got all the way to third before that one was caught. He sprinted back to second on the urging of the third base coach, Nick Schnabel. Michigan on the verge of stranding a runner for the 5th time in this game, or rather the 5th man left on base if the 9-hitter Harrison Wenson can't bring Jake Bivens home. 2 away here in the bottom of the 4th, Michigan leading 1-0. Schul delivers inside, and that got a piece of Wenson, so runners will be at first and second for the leadoff man, Akeo Thomas, who's 2 for 2 on the afternoon. Michigan has the offense brewing once again. Can they finally put up a crooked number here in the bottom of the 4th?
Yeah, lots of base runners for the Wolverines, but so far only that 1 run, and that's what matters. But it looks like we actually are it's going to be either a call to the bullpen or a coach's visit. I don't see anyone warming up down there, so I think it's just going to be a coach's visit.
I'll do you one better. I don't see anyone in their bullpen, period, right now, which is something you see a lot more in college baseball. You don't see a lot of teams with guys permanent fixtures in their bullpens, but Michigan right now and Eastern Michigan, neither has any representatives in their bullpen. And right now, Kevin Schul stuck at 69 pitches. Again, the most he's thrown in an outing this season is 73, and you'd certainly expect Akeo Thomas to run up at least 4 pitches in this at-bat. But Schul's shown the ability to pull a Houdini act. He's worked himself into a couple of jams, but Michigan already has left 4 on base. They have 5 hits, just 1 run to show for it. It still is just a 1-run game. Really important for Michigan to fight a couple more runs of insurance for their man on the mound, Jace Van Senna.
Yeah, and I thought I saw a guy walking down there and said he just ducked into the porta potty there down the right field line. So still no one warming up for the Eagles. This is at least going to be Schul's inning to get out of.
Akeo Thomas, who singled up the middle in the first into left field in the 3rd inning, back up there looking to go 3 for 3 to start this afternoon. And with his speed, if he can find a gap, he's not only plating 2 runs, he's looking to get to 3rd on his own as well. Of course, the great Johnny Slater on deck. Right now, all eyes on Akeo Thomas with Jake Bivens at 2nd, Harrison Wenson at 1st. 2 away here in the bottom of the 4th, Michigan leading 1-0. Akeo Thomas looking to tack on some more. He ready to face the first pitch from Schul, lays off a high pitch at the letters, 1-0.
Good take there. We already saw the mistake by Engelman back there in this 2nd inning. Swing on that first pitch, got into a double play. It did plate the run, but a big opportunity for the Wolverines missed there in the 2nd inning, and Thomas doesn't want to do the same here.
2 away, the 1-0 pitch from Schul to Thomas. Bivens going from 2nd. The ball skipped a few times, but Bivens dives in safely, swipes 2nd, then swipes 3rd. In back-to-back at-bats. Good to see that Michigan aggressive base running back for the team that is 2nd in the country in stolen bases this season. Now runners on the corners with 2 away, and the 2-0 pitch about to come from Schul to Akeo Thomas. It was a nice play, though, by the 3rd baseman Jones. That ball skipped a couple times on the artificial dirt out of the hand of the catcher Iacobelli. Runners on the corners, the 2-0 pitch to Thomas with 2 away in the inning. Inside at the hands, 3-0.
And Wenson did stay put at first there. Not a lot of speed from the senior catcher. He had a chance to get his first stolen base of the year, but no such luck. Smart move there to stay put at first, and he could very well make his way down to 2nd if ball 4 comes.
The 3-0 pitch inside nearly got a piece of Thomas, and that will load the bases for Johnny Slater with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. 4 pitches, 4 walk, or 4 pitches, 4 balls. It's a 4-pitch walk, and now we see a bullpen catcher get up, and Eastern's going to get some activity in their bullpen upcoming. Schul now at 74 pitches, the most he's thrown all season here in the bottom of the 4th.
It's be number 30, James Harness, the freshman righty, heading out there to the bullpen to get loose for the Eagles.
With 2 outs, Slater sends one back up the middle on a rope. It's going to be caught by Stidham in center, and the Wolverines lead them loaded. A nice pitch to Johnny Slater induces the flyout by Kevin Schul. We head to the top of the 5th. 1-0 in favor of the Michigan Wolverines. But once again, Schul gets himself into a jam and, more importantly, gets himself out of it if you're a fan of the green and white. Nice performance by him on the mound. If you're an Eastern fan, you just wish he could be a bit more efficient because he's now at 75 pitches.
Yeah, he's really been able to work some Houdini magic, as you mentioned, getting out of trouble and able to get things done. And Wolverines have left 7 guys on base, quite a few in scoring positions. They still lead 1-0. Only run coming courtesy of that grounding into a double play by Engelman coming back in the 2nd. So Eastern Michigan still very much in this thing. We move to the top of the 5th. It's going to be the 6, 7, 8 hitters for the Eagles, Rensel, Peggs, and Hager. During this break between the bottom of the 4th and top of the 5th, we'll update you on some out-of-town scores. Rutgers putting the beat down on Lafayette 19-1. West Virginia beating Maryland in the out-of-conference matchup 4-0. Those are the only games we got the scores for right now. And this one,
Rutgers, a well-rested Scarlet Knights team with the snowstorms last week, and they got stranded in Newark, so they weren't able to go to their 3-game series against Minnesota. So they had a weekend to just sit and think about mashing some hits, and they've done so today. Important for Michigan, though, that Maryland keeps winning in non-conference and conference play, or non-conference play, as the Wolverines dropped 2 of 3 at College Park against the team that's favored to win the Big Ten coming into this year. Of course, Michigan was the second pick among the coaches to win this conference. So you'd like to see Maryland keep dropping games in conference, keep winning them out. And it would be nice to see the Terrapins come away with a victory over a Big 12 opponent in West Virginia.
and to kick things off, here's the first pitch to John Rensel, the first baseman today. Takes a strike on the outside corner. 0-1. He's 0 for 1 on the day. Grounded out unassisted to Bivens in the second. Breaking ball, strike 2. Just hit the outside corner. Perfect pitch there by Vancena. Vancena shrugs his shoulders and delivers the 0-2 pitch just outside. Tried to get him with the fastball, but unsuccessful. That makes it go to 1-2.
Vancena right now, not pitching, but really throwing. He's just out there confident. Doesn't seem to be thinking too much in between pitches, just dealing.
Third pitch, swing and a miss, but that one gets away from Wenson. So that's going to be he's going to reach base there on the strikeout. That one just got away from Wenson. Couldn't find it, popped in the air. By the time he located it, didn't want to rush the throw, and a leadoff runner on for Rensel, the potential tying run at first base.
And that's a tough break. You can't ask for a better off-speed third pitch strike. It was so good, though, that not only did it induce a swing, even though it was at the shoestrings, but with the movement on that baseball, it spiked oddly off the turf. And Michigan, I think, fortunate that netting over along the first base dugout, that ball was inches away from going in the dugout, and Eastern Michigan nearly had their leadoff man at second on a third pitch strike.
Yeah, that would have been quite the break for the Eagles, but instead, Rensel Jr. is over there at first. At bat is Peggs. Takes the first pitch for a ball. Rensel takes his lead off first. Bivens holding with him there. Next pitch is skied in the air to left field. Lewis is tracking it. He will get underneath it and make the catch, the first out of the inning. Rensel will return to first base. One out here in the top of the fifth. Wolverines lead 1-0. Coming up next is the shortstop, Devin Hager. The freshman, normally the starting third baseman. He's over at short today.
Nice response, though, from Vancena to induce the fly out. You never know how a pitcher's going to respond when you get a strikeout and then you look over to first and the guy's at first because your catcher unable to block the pitch. But Vancena remains confident on the bump.
First pitch is a strike on the outside corner. Fastball, strike 1 to Hager. 0 for 1 on the day. Grounded out on a attempted bunt attempt in the third. Right back to the pitcher. Here comes the 0-1. That misses high. Evens the count at 1-1. Rensel over at first base. Not much of a base stealing threat. Hasn't attempted to go this year. Defense fairly straight up.
And if you're Vancena right now, you're playing for a ground ball to your middle infielders. Just get yourself out of the inning.
Here comes the 1-1 pitch. That one's fouled off over towards Ferry Field. Makes it 1-2 on Devin Hager.
And I parked over there. Really only the second or third ball we've seen fouled off towards that side, which reassuring not only for me, but it also means Vancena has been doing a really good job of throwing strikes that Eastern's not been able to spoil with fouls.
Here comes the 1-2 pitch. That one's in the dirt, and a nice block there by Wenson after he got the one that went away from him to the leadoff batter, Rensel.
And you got to help out your pitcher. After you do that, you got to get a bit more aggressive behind the plate. Nice to see Wenson response with the blocks we're more accustomed to seeing.
Vancena checks the runner now, delivers 2-2 pitch. That one's hit high in the air to right field, and enough for Engelman to get underneath it. He's going to fire back to first. Diving back in there is Rensel. Rensel wasn't expecting a throwback from Engelman. Smart heads-up play there to try and get the inning-ending double play. Instead, it's a simple fly out to right field. 2 outs here in the top of the fifth. Wolverines leading 1-0. They'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Robert Iacobelli, behind the plate today.
Vancena looking to continue his solid play of late, get out of the inning. Only at 57 pitches, so he likely has at least 2 more in him if he can get out Iacobelli and send us to the bottom half of the 5th.
First pitch is high. 1-0 on Iacobelli. Iacobelli will step out of that right-handed batter's box, get the sign from his third base coach, now dig back in. Vancena checks the runner at first. Now delivers. Swing and a miss there. Nice fastball. Way behind was Iacobelli. The runner on first is Rensel Jr. He reached on the wild pitch after striking out to lead off the inning. 2 easy flyouts have provided the 2 outs thus far. Vancena sets and delivers the 1-1 pitch way outside. Goes to 2-1. Metashevsky, the leadoff hitter, on deck. He's 0 for 2 thus far. Vancena gets the sign from the catcher, Wenson. Now he'll come set. Shrugs his shoulders and delivers. Swing and a miss there. 2-2. He's gotten quite a few swings and misses thus far from the Eagles hitters. Iacobelli will dig back in.
Wouldn't be surprised at all to see fastball inside, try to get the strikeout against the right-hander.
2-2 pitch. Breaking ball outside. Caught him looking. Strikeout there. And a big out after an unfortunate break to start the inning. The rest of the Eagles go down in order, and Vancena will head to the bottom of the 5th. Wolverines continue to lead 1-0. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball.
Yeah, it looks like he went with the slider there, painting the outside part of the plate. Absolutely nothing for the hitter to do there. And he remains really strong in the mat. And I think you make a good point coming into this game. I don't think Michigan's dead set on Hendrickson finishing out the year as the third pitcher in these pivotal conference series each and every weekend. No reason either Renard or Vancena, either of those 2 guys still each and every week is going to be vying if they get a start in the midweek to try to earn a spot in that rotation in conference play. Vancena doing everything he can to make that case today, still only allowing 3 hits. And in a 1-0 game, it's even more vital that he's been on, and he really has delivered under the circumstances.
Yeah, and on the other hand, Michigan's offense, a little disappointing this far, leaving 7 runners on base, a number of those in scoring position. What can they really change up here? They have the 3, 4, 5 hitters coming up. This is a potent lineup, and these guys are part of that strong lineup digging in here. What can they do to really pack on some insurance runs as we move into the latter innings of Vancena's start?
And it will be interesting to see just how much longer Eastern will keep Schull out there. As we said, at 74 pitches, already past his season high pitches in a game as the sun starts to peek out through these clouds. A welcome sight here in Ann Arbor after really we saw the skies open up last night, the hardest I've ever seen it rain in Ann Arbor in my 4 years.
Yeah,
wouldn't know it today.
And that's where you're really fortunate to have switched over to this artificial turf field. If this was a few years ago and it was still on the grass that used to occupy Ray Fisher, it never would have been played here today.
No chance.
It would have been absolutely washed out, as our neighbors over in East Lansing are. We're perhaps seeing a softball game shifted over to Alumni Field across the way, as they just simply can't play on Michigan State's athletic campus. First up is Michael Berdard. He'll take a pitch for a strike on the outside corner.
And I don't know what the field's made of, but it wouldn't have mattered. If any of you have seen the pictures, the listeners at home, I mean, it is a lake there. So thankfully that hasn't happened here, but if it did, I mean, it wouldn't have mattered if there was turf or dirt.
Next pitch is flied in the air to right center field, and Montgomery will have time to race over and make the catch. That one hung in the air a little bit too long. Solid contact there by Berdard, but Montgomery's able to track it down. Montgomery getting time in both the outfield and at DH this year. They'll bring up Drew Lugbauer, 0 for 1 on the day so far. Also had a walk in the first inning.
And you know what? I think Lugbauer's due for a long ball. He had the grand slam at a key point against Illinois on Friday. maybe a solo shot here, double up the lead.
You heard it here first from Leo Blavin. First pitch is outside.
You say it enough, eventually it's going to be right.
There you are. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Andrew Hausman alongside Leo Blavin on the call. Next pitch, swing and a miss. He was going for the fences there. Breaking ball caught him off guard. Evens the count at 1-1. One out here in the bottom of the fifth. Wolverines leading the Eagles 1-0. The infield shift is on the lefty Lugbauer. Next pitch, strike right at the knees. Good fastball placement there by Schul. Not much a lefty hitter can do with that one. First baseman Retzel Jr. just a few steps off the line at first. Pegs the second baseman onto the outfield grass. Next pitch, swing and a miss. Lugbauer strikes out for out number 2 of the 5th inning.
I guess I'll just keep my mouth shut in terms of expectations or predictions the rest of this game. Certainly gave a few swings with bad intention, just not able to square up the baseball in any of them.
And we do see a pitcher warming up in the Eastern Michigan bullpen. That's number 30, James Harness, the freshman righty, but it looks like Schul's going to have a chance to close out this inning. Limited work thus far, and we see Lewis headed back to the dugout for some reason.
Get a bit of pine tar on the bat, it looks like. Also, perhaps some words of advice from Eric Bakich as well. Interesting to see these types of chess matches. Michigan, an unusual amount, I would say, of conferences between hitters and coaches throughout this season is something I've really noticed. You don't often see coaches getting their batters back towards the dugout to discuss tactics, but Michigan obviously does a lot of film review of the pitchers they face. And any nugget Eric Bakich can impart on Miles Lewis that hopes the Wolverines win these games, he's going to do.
Very particular there, just with a 2 outs, nobody on situation, but he is squaring to bunt, so that's perhaps what the conversation was about. Jones was playing on the infield grass at third base. Squares to bunt, pulls it back, but a called strike anyway.
Now the surprise gone. Does he lay it down again 0-1?
Next pitch, breaking ball fouled off down the left field line and over into the Yost parking lot. Almost hit someone that's walking out of the free skate there. Just missed him. He was a little shocked there.
Something I still have to do. I've not done the free skate at Yost in my 4 years, so got to head over there one of these weekdays.
Yeah, only a few weeks left here in our collegiate careers, but this one is going to be fouled off and skied in the exact same spot, a little bit higher, and Alshel Reese's the Yost parking lot. 0-2 on Lewis, 0 for 2 on the day. Trying to do a fielder's choice in the first inning and then struck out in the third. Lewis waiting for the 0-2. Scholl sets and delivers. That one's fouled off again on the left field side. Defensive stance here, working up that pitch count, and I really think this is going to be the end of the day for Schul, but a solid start if he's able to get through this inning.
Yeah, but you can almost guarantee, as you said, Michigan's been really good with defensive swings. It's just they've stranded too many guys on base. But in terms of execution.
0-2 pitch is flied foul yet again down the left side, and that's going to bounce off the roof of the indoor pitching facility over there.
And it has to be a good balance, but in terms of plate discipline, it's been a great game from the Wolverines for the most part when you can run a guy out of a game with only 5 hits and 1 run to show for it. Obviously, you're not doing timely hitting well enough, but you're still being very disciplined at the plate, running up the pitch count the way they have against Schul.
0-2 pitch is inside. Patient eye there from Lewis.
And I think that's a good example of it, an inside pitch, breaking ball with 7 or 8 straight swings and tips to finally have the discipline to take a obvious ball. A lot of
1-2 pitch is lined to right field, and that's going to get down for a base hit. Montgomery will corral it, toss it back in, but not before Lewis scoots over to first base. 2-out runner for the Wolverines here in the bottom of the 5th.
You hang around long enough, good things are going to happen. That's single earned there by Lewis by the 3 or 4 straight foul tips off towards Yost Ice Arena. Just waiting for his pitch to hit, being defensive when he had to, taking pitches that he could do absolutely nothing with to get that first ball. And a count of 1-2. He was just waiting for a pitch to drive to the outfield. Finally got one he liked and did so. And surprisingly, Schul's still out there.
Yep, I think this is going to be his inning to finish as long as he's able to get Bivens here. But first, he's going to turn and almost get another pickoff. Diving in just in time is Lewis over at first base. Rensel holding with him there. Stepping to the plate is Bivens. 1 for 1. Also was hit by the pitch and stranded at third last inning. Schul comes set, and now he'll throw over to first base. Working from the stretch with that runner on. He's at 87 pitches thus far. Number of high-stress situations, but so far he's been able to work around them, only giving up that 1 run in the second inning. The delivery to Bivens. Swinging, belted high in the air down the left field line. That one's going to get well out of play. Almost found the bullpen catcher.
They were ready. Yeah, but I think we've seen a couple of these balls, this super high-arcing pop-ups that I think on a normal day are at least somewhat playable for the left fielder to try to make a play near the wall. But today, if you pop it up anywhere on the left side of this field, it's going to, in all likelihood, go out of play.
The 0-1 delivery, the runner going, pitch out, and the throw down to second is in time. Lewis will be called out, and that's going to do it for the inning.
An absolute strike delivered by Iacobelli. It needed to be a perfect throw. It wasn't a great pitch to run on to begin with, but a perfect throw left little doubt for Stuart Hall, the third base and second base umpire for this three-man crew. An absolute laser, though, delivered by Iacobelli, and absolutely no chance there for the base run.
And we're going to head to the top of the sixth. Michigan still leads 1-0. We're going to see I believe it's going to be a new pitcher coming in for the Wolverines. That's going to be number 22, William Trebuchet. Missed that one.
Will Tribuker, the left-hander, 6'3", 200-pound sophomore out of San Clemente, California. Pitcher we saw this weekend looked really good in relief versus the Fighting Illini. And this is where Michigan is perhaps unmatched by any teams in the Big Ten. Their bullpen absolutely lights out throughout this year. So many guys who on most college baseball teams would be contending for a starting spot. So many talented arms coming out of the bullpen. You obviously know Jackson Lamb, the shutdown closer, but you have Tribuker, Renard at times coming out of the pen. Really a plethora of talent for the Wolverines coming out of the bullpen. Mac Lozier, of course, in that group as well. Carl Kaufman. So many guys Michigan can throw out there, and it's just a matter of them having enough games on the schedule to get all these guys consistently out on the bump.
Are you surprised that Vancina's day is over? I mean, he had a really solid outing on the final line for Vancina. 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 6 strikeouts, only that 1 extra base hit given up on the double. Only 62 pitches, but perhaps saving him for that big weekend series.
Yeah, that's why I'm not surprised. Ultimately, Michigan, of course, wants to win this game, but what's really going to matter is them winning the series against Oklahoma this weekend. Obviously, at this point, Vancina's not going to be starting any of those 3 games, but you need to have him available from the bullpen, and certainly only throwing low 60s in terms of his number of pitches. You'd expect him to be available, maybe not on Thursday, but certainly Friday or Saturday to come out of the bullpen and eat up a couple innings. And that's been Michigan's MO all season. They have starters who go in the middle innings and finish up games. Tribuker certainly could be a starter in his own right. Expect him to get a couple innings of work here against Eastern Michigan. And you, if you're Eric Bakich, you have to assume you're going to get a few more runs too.
The lefty delivers. First pitch is outside. That's the number 1 hitter, Metashevsky, 0 for 2 on the day. Defense remains the same for the Wolverines. We're in the top of the 6th. They lead 1-0. The 1-0 delivery. Swinging fouled off deep down the right field line. That's headed right towards a black Ford Explorer. But it's going to narrowly have missed that one down the right field line. Leo's car is safe for now. Tribucher sets and fires. 1-1 is grounded right up the middle. This one's going to be a tough play for Berdard. Berdard will fire and get him easily. Made that one look easy. A slow little roller. Perhaps had a little bit more speed on this artificial turf than you'd see on a grass or actual dirt field. And a nice play there by Berdard to start the top of the 6th. one out here.
Tribuker loves to keep pitches low, induce those ground balls. And certainly with this talented defensive infield, especially those middle infielders in Thomas and Berdar, he can have confidence if he keeps them low and allows Eastern to put some grounders in play. He's got a defense behind him that'll help him out.
Stidham takes the first pitch for a strike on the outside corner. Nice fastball from the lefty Tribuker. Stidham singled in the fourth and tried to score when Williams hit it deep to left, but was thrown out at the plate. Takes another pitch on the outside corner for a strike. Quickly 0-2 on Stidham. Tribuker shrugs his shoulders and goes into his delivery. Fires. Strike 3 called in the outside corner. Breaking ball, fastball. 3 misses, and that's going to be strikeout number 21 on the year for number 22, Will Tribuker. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. That will bring up Brennan Williams.
Tribuker just continuing the trend of Michigan relievers who come in and shut games down so far through 2 batters here in the 6th.
Next pitch is low. Williams did double his last time up. The lefty pulled it over to right field, but excellent play by Engelman. Get the relay throw into Thomas, who threw out Stidham at the plate. Delivers a fastball inside, 2-0. Tribuker working on the third base side of the rubber. He'll deliver here. 2-0 is inside. Goes to 3-0. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th inning. Wolverines lead the Eagles 1-0. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Tribuker winds and delivers. 3-0 pitch, taking all the way for a strike, is Williams. Williams, the DH today for the Eagles. The Wolverines have the lefty shift on for him. 3-1 pitch. That one's high and inside. And that will be a walk. So a 2-out base runner here for the Eagles. And a reminder, that is the potential tying run at first base in this 1-0 game.
Tribuker, not a pitcher who ever throws from a full windup anyway, so certainly comfortable sidestepping. And as a left-hander, really eliminates the threat of a stolen base from Williams, who's not the fleetest of foot anyway at first.
And Tribuker really hasn't had an excellent year thus far. I mean, really just shutting down opposing batters. But one area he could improve is the base on balls. That's his 15th walk on the year. First pitch is line to center field. That one's sinking in a hurry. Laid out by Lewis, and he drops that. The run is going to come home, and he's actually going to hold. So a throw to home is in time, and they'll stop the runner at third. Runners at first and third now. Just barely missed the diving catch by Lewis. He lost his hat early on in pursuit of that ball, laid out for it, but it popped out of his glove. I thought Williams was going to score, but he is held up at third.
And the wind, I think, killed that ball just before Lewis could get there. But also interesting, Williams, of course, with 2 outs running on contact, and I think Michigan's fortunate that he didn't get a better jump on that baseball. It looks like maybe he held up for a moment with really no reason with 2 outs. Shocked that he wasn't able to score, though, from second with 2 outs in the inning, especially in this 1-0 game. But now Tribuker in a bit of a jam.
Tribuker delivers the breaking ball for a strike in the outside corner. Nice pitch there to Jones. Jones 1 for 2 on the day, singled in the second before grounding out to shortstop in the fourth. He'll dig back into that righty batter's box. Tribuker will check the runner at first. Pause and now deliver. The throw down to second, and they're going to get the guy in a jam between third and home. And Tribuker will go and make the tag himself. Williams caught in a jam between third and home. And once again, Michigan able to just barely escape damage. The first time, the tying run was about 5 feet from home, and this time about 45 feet from home. So once again, Michigan just able to get out of the inning, maintain their 1-run advantage as we head to the bottom of the 6th.
Great play design, if you want to call it that, though. You always know with runners on the corners, there's always the threat that The runner at first is going to swipe second and try to induce a throw over the top that allows the guy at third to swipe home. And beautifully designed where Tribuker simply picks off the supposed, throw to try to catch Montgomery stealing at second. Wenson fires it. Tribuker makes the catch. And at that point, Williams just a dead duck between third and home. Tribuker applying the tag, cleaning up the mess, and getting himself out of the jam with a heads-up play by his catcher, Harrison Wenson. Great creative defense, though, by the Wolverines. Second really good defensive play we've seen by Michigan in this game, with the relay coming back earlier in this game that has kept Michigan on top 1-0. At some point, though, we've just seen Eastern get too close for comfort enough times now to know Michigan's going to have to play a few more runs to win this game.
And a little bit of surprise, Shule will return to the mound for the bottom of the 6th. He's sitting at 90 pitches, and the Eagles do have a few players warming up there in the bullpen. I believe they have both a righty and a lefty warming up in that right field bullpen. But Shule will at least face the first batter here. That's going to be Bivens, Poirier, and Engelman to follow after that. Michigan leads 1-0 here. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. The number 13 Michigan Wolverines taking on Eastern Michigan. Don't forget, we will also be covering the big weekend series against Oklahoma that we keep talking about. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All games will be on WCBN Sports. Be sure to tune in on WCBNsports.org. Bivens, 1-for-1 on the day. Singled in the second, came around to score on the double play. Was stranded in the fourth after he was hit by a pitch and advanced to third. Takes the first pitch for a strike. Umpire went up with the right hand. They're going to put a ball on the scoreboard. 1-0 pitch, swinging belted right to center field, and that one's going to be caught by Stidham. Nice play there to track the fly ball. Tough play there, but able to get the sinking liner for the first out of the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, and he was playing in really shallow center field, playing with the wind as well, shaded slightly to his right, which made that, even with it being a low sinking ball with the wind, a relatively easy line out for him. But heads-up positioning, and that's good scouting by the Eagles as well as acknowledging which way the wind's blowing.
Poirier will step into that lefty batter's box, 1-for-2 on the day, hitting .333 on the year. Breaking ball misses well out of the strike zone. We'll see a few pitchers getting loose for the Eagles. As right now, Shule's in there on pitch number 93. Delivers 1-0. Breaking ball misses outside. 2 unpleasant breaking balls to start this at-bat for Poirier. Wind blowing straight to that left field foul pole. 2-0 pitch is inside in the dirt. 3-0 on Poirier. Poirier's taken 21 walks this year. On base percentage, good for .461 on the 2017 season. 3-0 pitch. That one's going to be a strike. Just hit the outside corner. Poirier was taken all the way. Shule will take a long look in and come set. He delivers 3-1. That's belted foul into the Yost parking lot. Running the count full. 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. Wolverines lead the Eagles 1-0. The 8-hitter Engelman on deck. Wenson to follow if either of these hitters reach base. The payoff pitch. That's belted foul on the left field line. A little bit late on the fastball. Count remains full.
Couple of people doing that free skater and have souvenirs either in the form of dents or baseballs on their cars parked over there. Seems like the 20 or 25th ball we've seen sent foul down the left field line.
Payoff pitch belted down the right field line. That's going to get down for a base hit. He's got a chance for 3. Poirier head to second. He's going to head to third, and he's going to hold up at second. Wise decision there.
At the last second, because I was just like you, thinking as soon as that found the deadest right corner of this park. I thought for sure he'd make a long turn, and he indeed did, but Nick Schnabel, the third base coach, had that right arm up, signaling stop all the way, and I think you and I agree the right decision, that he would have been gunned down by a mile. It was a really good throw from the right fielder Montgomery to his cutoff man, Pegs, to prevent that from being 3. But the Wolverines, once again, another opportunity to play to run with a man in scoring position and 1 out.
The righty Engelman will step in. 0 for 2 on the day so far. 7 men left on base for the Wolverines in this game. Really could use an insurance run here. First pitch is belted right to the shortstop. He's going to go to third, and they're going to apply the tag. Jones applies the tag. Poirier was running all the way. Perhaps not the smart play there. They'll get the second out on the tag at third. Engelman will be on first with 2 outs, but that's really a base running blunder there.
It's a tough play because it's one of the instances which you really only see in baseball where good defense beats good offense. You almost never see the shortstop with 1 out in the inning. They usually automatically will take a grounder on the infield and just fire it to first. It's a really heads-up play by Hager, I think, as well, to fire to Jones to try to get the lead man, an aggressive defensive play. But I don't hate Poirier running there just because it almost seems like a force of habit that with 1 out in the inning, they're going to fire to first and deal with the man at third, but also have just 1 out left to get out of the inning.
First pitch to Wenson is a strike on the outside corner. Engelman, the runner, on first. He's got good speed. Next pitch is well outside. Schul still working there, trying to get through 6 at pitch number 101.
Really good pitching, though, by Schul, now going towards the century mark in this game in terms of pitch count.
The 1-1 pitch, that one's fouled up and onto our roof here on the press box. 1-2 on Wenson. 0 for 1 on the day, was hit by a pitch in the 4th. Wolverines once again missing a crucial opportunity with a runner left on or in scoring position, but they still have Engelman on first. He's got good speed. He could score on a double here. First, a pickoff throw to first. A slow little lob there from Schul. The outfield very deep and shaded to left. Stidham well beyond that block M that occupies quite a bit of space in center field.
The wind pushing the ball as well, as is the natural swing of Wenson, who's a pull hitter down that left field line.
1-2 pitch, breaking ball outside. Almost got him to chase. You could tell that Wenson won that one, but he would have come up with nothing but air.
Yeah, when you see that gap, though, between your right fielder and your center fielder, for Wenson right now, he's just picturing driving one to center and getting a triple of his own, because it is a massive gap between the center fielder and the right fielder.
The 2-2 pitch. That one's a little low roller down the first base line. That's going to be Rensel making the play unassisted. And once again, Eastern Michigan gets out of the inning. The score remains Michigan 1, Eastern Michigan 0. We head to the top of the 7th. You're listening to WCBN Sports and Michigan Baseball.
And if you're Kevin Schul, you couldn't have asked for a better performance from yourself to go out there and really have one of what I would assume is one of the games of his career. Certainly the most pitches he's thrown this year. He got over 100, held the potent Michigan offense, which at times we've seen explode, to just 7 hits, 1 run to show for it, and he also induced 8 stranded runners for the Maize and Blue. He's had some good defense behind him as well, but he's really dominated on the mound and put Michigan's batters in a position to, as we just saw a moment ago, maybe put it in play, but in no way that could do any real damage. He was phenomenal on the bump today, really matching Van Sena with the exception of a couple of batters pitch for pitch.
Yeah, and I think that will be the end of the day. We thought he was going to be done after 5, but able to squeeze 1 more inning out of Schul was the Eastern Michigan head coach, Mark Van Amide, in his 3rd season with the Eagles. Tri Bucher will return to the mound for the Wolverines. Had a little bit of a rough first inning, but able to get out of trouble in the 6th. Really was surprising that the runner didn't come home on that on that fly ball to left field. Lewis made a diving effort, but unable to come up with the catch. But the runner held at third, and the score remains 1-0. The runner at third ended up being caught in a pickle between third and home.
And Mac Lozier getting up and loose. Seems to be in no hurry to get ready to enter this game. Still playing just stand-up toss with his bullpen catcher. But certainly you'd expect Tribuker to get out of this inning at the very least.
5, 6, 7 due up for the Eagles. That's Jones, Rensel Jr., and Peggs.
What a great game, though, overall by the Eastern Michigan defense. Just at some point, they're going to need their offense to help them out. Tough to lose games 1-0, but their defense and pitching has kept them in it.
First pitch well outside, sailing into that lefty batter's box to the righty Nick Jones, the freshman playing third base today. 1-0 delivery. That's a ground ball to shortstop, scooped up by Berdar. He'll fire over to first base and get Jones by about 3 steps for the first out of the inning here in the top of the 7th.
Good grounder, well handled by Berdar, one of the cornerstones to this Michigan infield defense. That's what Tribuker wants to do. He wants to keep pitches low, and he wants to induce grounders, and it looks like we're going to see a pinch hitter for the Eagles.
That's going to be number 8, Jordan Peterson, the fifth-year senior from Gilbert, Arizona.
Just the nature of collegiate baseball, a guy who played first couple years at Chandler Gilbert Community College. You never know where your home is going to be, though, at the Division I level. Certainly happy to have a scholarship, playing certainly far away from home, but from a talent-rich baseball state.
Tribuker fires first pitch, misses low and outside, 1-0. On the year, Peterson hitting .263. 11 RBIs, does strike out quite a bit. Next pitch is low. 2-0 on Peterson. Peterson pinch hitting for Rensel Jr. Next pitch is belted to left field. That one is deep, and that's going to be off the wall. Lewis misread that a little bit, and Peterson is cruising into second base, standing up. Lewis misread that one a little bit, lost his hat yet again, and a 1-out double for the pinch hitter Peterson. The tying run is aboard and in scoring position for the Eagles.
So I guess we'll call that a super sub, if you will, for head coach Mark Van Ameed. And it looks like they're going to keep going to the bench, as well as I think Marquise Gill is going to be called upon, another fifth-year senior, this one from Paw Paw, Michigan. But yes, yet again, we have the tying run in scoring position for the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Problem is they haven't been able to convert in those positions, and how much longer is the leash for William Tribuker, with now 2 arms getting up and loose. Mac Lozier looks ready to go at a moment's notice, and I wouldn't be surprised, especially with a now conference on the mound, to allow Lozier to get a couple more warm-up pitches. Michigan going to stall this out, and this I would expect to be the final pitch thrown of this game by Tribuker. I think his day is done. It's just a matter of allowing a couple more warm-up pitches for Mac Lozier.
Well, Wenson is going to trot back behind the plate. No call from the dugout thus far.
No, this is classic baseball gamesmanship. They're going to take their sweet time. And
here comes Bakich.
Here we go. Yep.
So Bakich will walk out to the mound, and that is going to be the end of the day for William Tribuker. 1 1/3 innings pitch. He is responsible for the runner on second. That's Peterson, the starting right fielder for the Eagles team, coming in as a super sub. We also see the starting shortstop, Gill, coming in here to pinch hit, but he'll have a chance to tie this game up for the Eagles. It's going to be against, it looks like it's going to be Mac Lozier coming in for the Wolverines.
Yeah, Lozier, not surprised to your righty-on-righty matchup.
Yeah, we saw 2 pinch hitters as the lefty Tribuker looked to face the lefties Rensel and Peggs. Instead, he had to face off against the righty in Peterson, and now with another righty pinch hitting. Matt Lozier is going to come to the plate with one out here in the top of the 7th. Michigan clinging to a 1-0 lead. Lozier will get set. And Leo, how has he done thus far for the Wolverines?
Yeah, he hasn't thrown that much this year, in all honesty. This is just going to be his 9th appearance of the season. But he had the injury in the offseason, just made his debut back on March 19th. But early on in the season, Michigan, when they were down in Florida, he wasn't available. He didn't make any appearances during the California trip, but now back from injury. And he's looked really good coming out of the bullpen, granted in limited work. But a guy who just started the season in the middle of March, good to see him back in the swing of things as another arm out of Michigan's bullpen.
And this is a guy that's given Michigan solid innings in all 4 of his collegiate years, has really been a solid presence coming out of the bullpen.
And he's a guy who's comfortable, too, I think most importantly, as a senior working out of jams. He's not someone who's going to be rattled by the moment at any time. He's a guy Erik Bakich can be very confident in, bring him in the mound in situations like this with a runner in scoring position, 1 out, and not worry about the moment getting too big for him or him trying to do too much. He knows he has a good defense behind him. He knows he just needs to get 2 outs. Don't worry as much about the runner at second. Just worry about the task at hand, which it appears will be Marquise Gill.
On the year, 5 innings pitched, over 8 appearances, 7 strikeouts, no walks. That's a line you love to see for Coach Bakich. Only has surrendered 1 hit. No runs given up by Matt Lozier. He'll inherit the runner from Tri Bucher on second. Peterson with solid speed on second. The starting right fielder for the Eagles will trot back out there to his place at second, and we'll be ready to get back underway. Gill will dig into that righty batter's box. Temperature cooling down here on a Tuesday evening in Ann Arbor. You're listening to WCBN Sports broadcast of Michigan baseball. Lozier will check the runner at second, now deliver. First pitch in there for a strike. Wolverines pulling Gill to pull heavy, the righty. The third baseman Lugbauer just a few steps off that line in third. Lozier will come set, working from the stretch and deliver. 0-1 pitch, swing and miss, and that will be fouled off, Quickly 0-2 on the pinch hitter, Gill. Lozier will receive the signs from his second baseman, Thomas, and look in to get the sign from his catcher, Wenson.
Looks so confident and, more importantly, comfortable right now on the mound. Ahead 0-2 will do that.
0-2 pitch well outside. Tried to get Gill to chase, but unable to do so. Wasted pitch there. Nothing wrong with that. Count moves to 1-2. Wind has died down a little bit. Still blowing to left field. Peterson takes his lead off second. Lozier looks in. Now checks the runner at second. Checks him again. Now delivers. That one's going to be a slow roll, and that's going to be a foul ball off the foot of Gill.
And Gill's a speedster. Reason you bring him in to pinch it here is not only to try to move the runner from second to third, but if he puts it in play, it's not a guy that Michigan can get too cute defensively, try to perhaps hold Peterson at second. If you're going to make a throw in the infield, especially across the diamond to try to get Gill out, you're going to have to make it immediately upon receiving it off the ground.
Yeah, this was one where Eastern Michigan tried to get some of their youngsters into the lineup, but seeing a chance to steal a game here, getting some of the veterans back in, try and tie this game up. Next pitch is skied very high on the infield. Wenson giving chase towards his own dugout. He's going to be called off by Lugbauer to make the catch a few steps away from the Michigan dugout. Heavily applauded by his teammates there. That's the second out of the inning. Big pop out there by Matt Lozier. He's got one more guy to get out of this jam.
And it can't be overstated how difficult that play is to make, especially with a gray sky like it is today, keeping the baseball in your focus as well with the wind blowing towards the dugout, having the confidence that your teammates and coaches are going to make you aware of your surroundings. It's easier when you can locate the wall and settle up next to it before making the catch, but ton of confidence by Lugbauer there, knowing the dimensions of this field and making the play despite the gray sky where the baseball can sometimes find a way to camouflage itself.
First pitch to Hager in there for a strike on the outside corner. Peterson, the runner on second. He represents the potential tying run for the Eagles. Lozier working from the stretch, checks the runner, now delivers. That one's going to be belted down to left center field. That's going to be down for a base hit. Here comes the throw to the plate from Lewis to Wenson, and he is safe. The game is tied. A RBI single there for the freshman Hager. Big time hit. 1-1 here for the Wolverines. And Lozier unable to get out of the jam. We got a tie ball game here in the top of the 7th. We're going to see a protest by Bakich. You can
We
hear
can hear it. Yeah,
here.
let's just listen in.
He is very upset with the home plate umpire, Thomas Newport, really with his positioning. And he is arguing that the runner was out. Now Mark Van Amide will have a word and with the home plate umpire, Devin Hager.
No, it's Devin Hager, it looks like, is going to be out there pinch running for Marquise Gill. Yeah, don't think you're going to see an argument from the coach who just saw a bang-bang play called in his favor. I think it's just to alert that the pitching change is, or the pinch runner coming in the form of Devin Hager, a freshman from Commerce Township, Michigan. Tie game, how does Michigan respond?
First pitch is that a high chop down the first base line goes foul. Well, Hager was the one that drove in that run there, the freshman. It's going to be actually the pinch hitter, Owings, coming in for Iacobelli. Owings, the lefty, hitting .228 on the year. 3 pinch hitters for the Eagles in this inning, and they've managed to manufacture a run and tie this game up. 0-1 pitch is in the dirt. Nice block there by Wenson. He kept it in front of him, and that forced Hager to retreat to first. Then he lost it again, trying to pick it up. But at that point, Hager was already on his way back to first, so no chance to advance to second and into scoring position. Go-ahead run on first base in the form of Hager. He just came through in the clutch. RBI base hit to left center field to tie this game up. Lozier sets. The 1-1 pitch delivery. That's a chop right down off the glove of Bivens. He'll recover, get there himself, and make the play unassisted. Nice play there by Bivens to knock the ball down, recover, and make the play unassisted. But we head to the bottom of the 7th in a tie game, 1-1 between Michigan and Eastern Michigan. Lozier a little bit bombed by him, unable to get out of the jam that was left for him. But he'll be congratulated by his teammates. And we'll head to the bottom of the 7th as the due up for the Wolverines, the top of the lineup, Thomas, Slater, and Berdar, as they look to retake the lead against the Eastern Michigan Eagles.
At some point, the Bats, we knew one run wasn't going to be enough with how much Eastern Michigan had shown the ability to battle back and keep getting guys in positions to score. It was another bang-bang play as well as Michigan could have played it defensively. But really good base running and timely hitting has tied up this game. Michigan needs some timely hitting of their own now, though. Yeah. 7 hits, and they've left countless guys stranded, already at 8 left on base here heading into the 7th inning. The Bats have had the opportunity to work in.
Thomas coming to the plate, a perfect 2 for 2. Also reached base on that walk in the 4th. And we will see a new pitcher here for the Eagles. That's going to be James Harness, the freshman righty, coming in here out of the bullpen. A excellent performance by Kevin Schul. Well, Harness will look to continue his work against the top of the lineup. This is a potent Michigan lineup that Schul kept in check, working over the century mark in over 6 innings of, in 6 innings of work, but excellent performance by Schul. His final line, 6 innings pitched, 7 hits, 1 run. That was earned. 2 walks against 4 strikeouts, and finished with 104 pitches to really limit this Michigan offense.
Michigan in prime position, though, right now to try to battle Harness, who's already got 2 wins to his credit. He has 3 starts this season against a really good Louisville team. He went 4 innings holding the Cardinals to just 4 runs. Also pitched at Fresno State. So they've thrown him through the gauntlet of tough competition. Also pitched 3 innings against Michigan State, where he gave up 2 earned runs. But Michigan at the top of their order, this is exactly, if you're Michigan, where you want to be. In a tie game, you want to have a K.O. Thomas at the plate, where he is reached base safely in all 3 plate appearances.
Yeah, and that was 3 innings of relief in that victory against Michigan State, a big-time victory for the Eagles against their in-state rivalry, and looking to get another one here. Thomas will dig into that ready batter's box. First pitch from Harness is high, 1-0. We'll see several defensive subs coming in for the Eagles. We'll get you updated after this pitch. Delivery from Harness. Strike on the outside corner. So coming in, we're going to see Gill going to shortstop. Hager moving from shortstop to second base. Owings going into first base. And a new catcher behind the plate as Stidham, in a very curious move, moves from center field to catcher. That's
Yeah,
one
you don't
I
often see that.
haven't seen that one before. Next pitch is fouled off. 1-2 to Thomas.
Pretty good luxury to have a guy who can cover the most of the field as well as the least effectively.
1-2 pitch is inside. Thomas looked ready to toss the bat aside and head down to first, but that was only ball 2. Levels the count. Outfield very shallow on Thomas. Next pitch goes outside, runs the count full. Montgomery in right field. Very, very shallow. The new center fielder, Peterson, also shallow as well. The payoff pitch to Thomas. That one's belted right at the second baseman. Snares it. Fires over to first base, and that is an excellent play by Hager. So right after he ties the game up in the top of the inning with a clutch RBI, a diving play by the freshman Hager, tosses it over to Owings for the out. That's 1 out, but a hard hit ball off the bat of Thomas and just able to find the glove of Hager.
Just something special brewing right now for these Eagles. And it takes that kind of effort to get a K.O. Thomas out when he puts it in play. They were up to the task, though. Great job by Hager at second, making the move from short.
First pitch to Slater is a strike. 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. Wolverines looking to retake the lead. This one's belted high in the air to center field, but the right fielder Montgomery settling underneath that one. That's out number 2 here in the bottom of the 7th for the Wolverines. Coming up is Michael Berdar. 1 for 2 on the day. Hit by a pitch in the first, singled in the third, and then flew out to right field in the 5th.
Stidham in a good, or I should say, Eastern really in a good position, especially Harness on the mound, trying to get through the heart of this Michigan order here and put really the biggest threat Michigan's had throughout this game out of it before heading to the 9th.
First pitch belted high in the air to shallow right field. The second baseman Hager goes over and makes the catch, and this Eastern Michigan team is fired up. They are sensing their chance to steal one here at Ray Fisher Stadium. We head to the top of the 8th inning. We're tied at 1. Eastern Michigan versus the Wolverines. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball.
And I mean, all the momentum is swung in the favor of Eastern Michigan as well. You have the inning where you tied up, and then you have a great relief appearance from Harness, in which he goes against arguably the 3 best hitters Michigan's going to send out in this game.
And we'll see if Lozier returns to the mound here or if a new pitcher coming in for the Wolverines. It will be a new pitcher. That's me, Tommy Henry, excuse me. The freshman from Portage, Michigan, 6'3", 190-pound lefty coming in for this relief appearance on the year.
This is an 11th appearance. Comes in with a sparkling .84 ERA and a 2-1 record, hoping he can boost it to 3-1. But just another one of these great bullpen arms Michigan has. Tommy Henry, a really talented lefty with that big frame, can really fire in a lot of heat.
He's going to face the top of the order for the Eagles, Matashevsky, Stidham, and Williams.
We'd think at this point it's hard to tell who could come in for Eastern. An endless bench of offensive spark plugs for them, at least from what we saw last inning.
Yeah, we saw 2 of the normal starters sneaking into this game, but ended up being the freshman Devin Hager, who started and Doesn't necessarily start every game, but he's definitely worked himself into the lineup for this Eagles team, making a clutch play and then a diving stop. So Hager really keeping the Eagles in this game. And it will be Tommy Henry, the lefty, to go against Metashevsky, Stidham, and Williams. 24 strikeouts against only 7 base on balls. Has given up quite a few hits. 17 hits in 21 innings pitched, but only a few earned runs. Just 2 on the year, good for a .84 ERA. Metashevsky will take a few practice cuts and dig into that righty batter's box. Henry working with that lanky frame, delivers his first pitch. That one's fouled high and down the right field line. And it looks like it's going to bounce off of the Explorer parked out there. think it's clear, but always gotta.
I have my eyes on it. It's gonna take a big pull down that line.
Here's another shot coming down that right field line, but that will not do it as it just barely clears the right field bleacher seats here at Ray Fisher Stadium. Sparse crowd in attendance, but we urge you to get out here for a Michigan baseball game. This is an excellent team, top 15 team in the country, and they got a big series against Oklahoma this weekend. 0-2 pitch, misses low and away.
Some great crowds this weekend against Illinois. Saturday and Sunday, spectacular crowd. Biggest attendance I've seen in my 4 years here, and the team certainly warrants your attention.
The 1-2 pitch here, and that one's a ground ball to short. Berdar will scoop it up, fire over to first base, and get Metashevsky by about 4 steps. One up, one down here in the top of the 8th.
It is amazing just the arm strength Berdar has. He makes it look so effortless. Anyone who's ever played any level of baseball on the opposite side of first in the infield, either shortstop or third, you know how difficult a throw that can be to make, and he makes it just look so effortless, always calm, cool, collected, regardless of the speed of the batter. Really impressive to just see the flick of the wrist, and it's an on-the-money throw with plenty of pace each and every time from Berdar.
Now stepping to the plate, Stidham. First pitch, swing and a miss. Nice breaking ball there by Henry.
Henry not messing around right now on the bump.
Working quickly here. Eastern Michigan team really trying to slow him down, taking their time between pitches. Henry trying to work fast. 0-1 pitch, squares to bunt, pulls it back, and that one's going to miss outside. Evens the count at 1-1. Stidham taking his time. He is 1 for 3 on the day. Struck out swinging in the first and looking in the 6th. He'll take a called strike here in the top of the 8th. 1-2 on Jeremy Stidham. Started in center field, moved to catcher for the Eagles. The 1-2 pitch by Henry. That one's in the dirt, and they're going to say he went around. That's going to be a strikeout. Look to check his swing. Stidham can't believe it.
I think Stidham has an argument here. From our vantage point behind home plate, it certainly didn't look like he went, and you almost always see the home plate umpire give the benefit of the doubt to the hitter and at least allow the appeal process to take place. And I think if they went to Ron Nordquist down at first, he's signaling safe, because I really don't think he went from our vantage point, and I'm not sure it was that close.
No, I did not. I was stunned by that. I thought he checked his swing well in time, but a break for Henry and the Wolverines. They get the second out of the inning via strikeout. Stidham's 3rd strikeout out of the day. Next pitch is lifted high in the air to center field. That's actually going to be the shortstop tracking out to make the catch. Berdar will run under the outfield grass and make the catch. So an easy inning for Tommy Henry in relief. We'll head to the bottom of the 8th. Score tied at 1. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Once again, Lewis losing his hat. Seems to
no, that's his thing, Lewis. If there's a pop-up anywhere near left field or even shallow left side of the infield, the hat's coming off, and he's going to give chase to it. He has a flair for the dramatic. You see his blonde mane flowing through the wind today. He's taking advantage of good wind for a good hair day. And when you got the locks he does, you take the hat off every opportunity you get.
James Harness returning to the mound for Eastern Michigan, had a very solid inning in relief. Has given up, he's only thrown 8 pitches on the day, so really easy inning there. A little bit of help from his freshman second baseman Hager with a spectacular diving play. got him out of that inning. And now the 4, 5, 6 hitters coming up for the Wolverines, Lugbauer, Lewis, and Bivens.
And we know Lugbauer obviously leads the team in home runs, third in the Big Ten with 9 home runs on the year. Has that kind of power. Would love to see him just get one opportunity to swing up. I think he's going to go up there and look fastball all the way. And it's a good sign, I think, for Michigan in terms of relief, or at least a telling sign that we see Henry up and he's headed back to the bullpen to keep that arm loose. So I don't think his day is done for the Maize and Blue.
That was an easy inning for Henry, so he's looking to come out for the top of the 9th.
And they don't want to go to Jackson Lamb. Lamb threw twice this weekend. He went 2 innings against Illinois. They want to keep him rested if at all possible. It looks like Henry, though, was just going to get a jacket, but I don't think his day is done. I would be very surprised if they bring out another pitcher because there's no activity to speak of in the Michigan bullpen.
Lugbauer digs in, squares to bunt, and that one goes foul. Dampened it, but just rolled foul into the righty batter's box. 0-1 on Lugbauer. 0 for 2 on the day. Also walked back in the first inning.
Lugbauer, not a speedster by any means, but with the infield, at least that previous pitch playing so black, why not?
Next pitch is skied high in the air to left field. That's going to get easily out of play. No doubt about that one, especially with the wind blowing as it is today. 0-2 on Lugbauer. Looking to get a leadoff man here. The Wolverines looking to rally in the bottom of the 8th and close it out here in the top of the 9th. But first, they need another run. 1 run apiece, 6 hits for Eastern Michigan, 7 for Michigan. No errors by either side. Harness winds, and we'll see time called here.
Yeah, Lugbauer, a very methodical hitter. If something feels off, he's not afraid to stick the left hand back and call for time at any moment, even in the windup as we saw there.
0-2 pitch is high. Checked his swing there. Didn't really go any further than the Eastern Michigan hitter that was called out in the previous inning.
But that's a pitch now in his junior year. That's a pitch he probably swings at a year or 2 ago.
1-2 pitch. That one is grounded foul on the first base line. Retrieved there by Owings and tossed back to his pitcher Harness.
And I think this at-bat really demonstrates the biggest growth we've seen throughout the Michigan lineup this year. So many more defensive swings, guys who aren't striking out as much. And that's a luxury to have when your power hitter is not a guy who's an automatic strikeout if he's not putting the ball out of the yard.
The 1-2 pitch coming, and that hit him. That nailed him. The 4th hit by pitch by the Eagles, and that was a shot to Lugbauer. But the Wolverines will take what they can get. They have a leadoff runner here in the 8th. They've been desperate to create runs all game long, really unsuccessful, but they got a shot here.
But this is also, I think, where we see that plate discipline come to fruition. If he chases that high fastball, something so difficult to lay off of for power hitters, he's not aboard at first, just fouling off pitches he can't put in play, taking defensive swings, using good discretion in the batter's box. He certainly earned that hit by pitch. That was not a fluky play by any means. He deserved to be in there facing that pitch to begin with by staying alive in the batter's box. Michigan, though, at some point has to capitalize on all these base runners.
Miles Lewis will step into that lefty batter's box. 1 for 3 on the day. Squares to bunt, and that one goes foul. Jones, the third baseman, was on the edge of the outfield grass looking for that bunt. Lugbauer on first does not have great speed, has attempted 1 steal and was caught while attempting so this year. Jones several steps onto the infield turf. Lugbauer takes a conservative lead off first base. Lewis waiting for the 0-1 delivery. Harness comes set. He'll deliver. That one's popped in the air on a bunt, and that is caught by Stidham. Poor execution there by Lewis. Lewis cannot be pleased with himself there. That's the last thing you want to do on a bunt. Normally, you assume the worst case scenario is you fail to get it down and get it called strike 2, and then you're working yourself into an 0-2 count, but just a terrible job there by Lewis to pop it up. Easy catch by Stidham. His center fielder instincts coming out as he tracks it down behind home plate. First out in the inning.
And Michigan's been so good all season at doing the little things well. But at some point when you have 14 guys reach base at some point in the game and you're just not executing offensively, just let them swing the bat. I didn't love the decision to try to play small ball there. Michigan just hasn't shown the ability to do that this game. let your players swing the bat and try to bust this game open, because doing the little things right has not been working for Michigan this afternoon.
That is a classic Eric Bakich move, known for his small ball.
Which usually works for Michigan. That just hasn't been working today, and they keep hitting guys.
Another hit batter, number 5 for the Eagles. I've never seen this many hit batters in a game. So Bivens will trot down to second. He's been hit by pitch twice. That runs his total to 12 on the year.
A hit by pitch specialist. That's 15 now. That's the 15th base runner Michigan has had. 15 different base runner Michigan's had in this game.
So 6 hits, 5 hit by pitches, and 4 walks. Nonetheless, Michigan only with 1 run. Same with Eastern Michigan. We'll see a little mound conference here between Stidham and Harness. Wolverines have another opportunity here. I think you really got to trust Poirier to swing the bat here. I'd be very surprised if we saw another attempted sacrifice bunt. Stidham will step out in front of home plate to run over the signs with his infield. Looks like they're going to be playing fairly tight at the corners. Middle infield at double play depth. Poirier, 2 for 3 on the day, bringing his season average up to 340 on the year. Harness checks the runner and delivers fastball high. 1-0 on Poirier. Lugbauer was hit by the pitch. Lewis popped out to the catcher, trying to get the sacrifice bunt down. Then Bivens was hit by the pitch, and that's where the Wolverines are. Runners at first and second, looking to retake the lead here in the bottom of the 8th. Next pitch coming. That one just misses. Nice pitch there, but a little bit low from Harness. Harness has thrown 4 straight balls to Wolverines hitters.
Big gap between the second baseman and the first baseman.
Potential for a pull hitter like Poirier to slap it out there. Harness checks the runner once, twice, now delivers. Swing and a miss by Poirier. He had a pitch to hit there, but a little bit high.
Yeah, he saw a home run all the way, got well underneath it, and appeared a bit ahead of that one as well, and that was a fastball.
Lugbauer at second, Bivens at first. We will see a mound conference here between the shortstop Gill, the second baseman Hager, and Harness. They'll discuss their move here.
Poirier, who has opposite field power, just the wind, I think, is going to negate that today. Because we've seen Eastern Michigan put the shift on in the outfield towards left field more often than not throughout this game. The wind really neutralizing any oppo power for these lefties like Nick Poirier.
Nick Poirier waiting for the 2-1 pitch. Still could get a good pitch to hit here from Harness. Harness comes set, working from the stretch. He delivers 2-1 pitch, and that one just misses.
Really good eye there by Poirier. That was a low pitch, really good plate discipline. Obviously, it helps not having 2 strikes against you to take that kind of pitch, because I'm not sure he is if he's got 2.
This is a big opportunity for the Wolverines. Runners at first and second, 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. Tie game 1-1. Poirier at the plate. Harness delivers. 3-1 pitches, a strike. Late call there from the home plate umpire, Thomas Newport. Poirier had already tossed the bat, headed down to first base. Instead, the count runs full. That's a late call from Newport.
And I think a bad call. That pitch I thought was, from our vantage point behind home plate, clearly inside. Nick Poirier agrees, but the most important man on the field, Thomas Newport, the home plate umpire, disagrees. Interesting, when you see the bat toss, it seems like that strike zone expands quite a bit on the following pitch.
Big time pitch right here. The payoff. Swing and a miss. Big time strikeout by Harness. Poirier will head back to the bench. A disappointing plate appearance from Poirier. He thought he had drawn the walk to lower the bases. Instead, strikes out. 2 outs here.
We'll call it a makeup call for the check swing strike called against Eastern the previous inning, but Michigan, an ill-timed call against them here.
That will leave it up to Engelman. The sophomore right fielder will dig in that ready batter's box, gets a few signs from his head coach, Eric Bakich. Also looking on are the runners Lugbauer and Bivens. Lugbauer at second, Bivens at first. Crucial situation right here. We're in the bottom of the 8th, 1-1 game. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Harnish comes set, checks the runner, checks him again, now delivers. First pitch well outside. Lugbauer not a base stealing threat on second base. Runners will be off with any contact with 2 outs. Both Harness and Engelman taking plenty of time. Now Engelman will step back in. Outfield expecting the righty Engelman to slap it to right field. Here's Harness's delivery. Breaking ball just misses. That was a nice pitch. That buckled the knees of Engelman, but able to get a called ball instead. 2-0 on Engelman. Montgomery very shallow in right field. Peterson shaded to right center as the center fielder. Harness really slowing the game down here. Sets and delivers 2-0 pitch, grounded to third base. That is scooped up by Jones. He will win the race to the bag and beat out Lugbauer. And that will be the third out of the bottom of the 8th. Wolverines get 2 runners on with hit by pitches, but once again, unable to do any damage. We'll head to the top of the 9th. Scores all even at 1. Eastern Michigan versus Michigan. You're listening to the home of Wolverines baseball.
You can't strand 10 runners on base in a game and expect to win that often, and we just saw it happen yet again. And we talked about it really early on in this game when Michigan played their run back in the 2nd. They had to add more. You can't give a team like Eastern Michigan life. Anytime you face a team that comes in with a poor record that's just playing, to spoil some other teams' opportunities, the longer you let them hang in the game, the more time you give them to build belief, the harder it gets for your team to extend their lead and to ultimately win the game. Michigan's given Eastern Michigan plenty of reason to believe, and Eastern Michigan's played very well as an even more difficult task faces the Wolverines now. It's somehow getting an answer against this Eastern Michigan pitching staff that we were told before the game was somewhat limited due to injuries. We haven't seen it today because this is not their best pitchers. They clearly have a lot of talent in their bullpen and among their starting rotation because both pitchers we've seen today have been excellent for the Eagles.
And Tommy Henry will return to the mound for a second inning of work. Only went through 10 pitches in that first inning of work, so plenty left in the tank. But really the last thing the Wolverines want here is an extra inning game. They want to preserve all those valuable bullpen arms for this crucial weekend series. As we mentioned, that starts a day earlier than normal. Normally, if you have a Tuesday game and you wouldn't play till Friday, it wouldn't be too big of a deal to go extra innings. But Wolverines have to play again Thursday at 4 p.m., so not too long from now. Henry will face off the 4, 5, 6 hitters. It's going to be Montgomery, Jones, and Peterson. Peterson, the pinch hitter that came in and got a crucial hit for the Eagles, ended up coming around to score as Hager knocked him in. The lanky lefty on the mound for the Wolverines. Wolverines very deep all around in the outfield. No doubles luck. First pitch, breaking ball, just gets in there for a strike at the top of the strike zone. 0-1. Wolverines really expecting Montgomery to pull here. 3 infielders on the left side of the infield, and that will be a foul straight back directly to the luxury box to our left.
Souvenir for somebody.
Quite happy to get a young man a Detroit Tigers hat. Well, the Tigers hung on to a 2-1 victory against the Twins at home today. Next pitch, swing and a miss. Ugly swing there by Montgomery in the dirt. Picked up by Wenson. Fired down to the first baseman, Bivens. First out here in the top of the 9th. That was an ugly swing and easy at-bat for Tommy Henry. Coming up next, Nick Jones. Singled in the 2nd. Since then, 2 ground outs to the shortstop, Berdar. He'll dig in. Waiting for the first pitch from Henry. The delivery. That one's high. 1-0. Wolverines continue to be in that no doubles look here. Do not want the potential winning run to get into scoring position. That's a shot right to the second baseman. Bobbled up by Thomas, but he's still going to recover and get him by a step. It was a tough play. It should have been routine.
And Thomas made it look, even after he booted it initially, a rather nonchalant throw. Would have liked to seen a bit more urgency, but he knows better than I out at second. Not a guy who makes a lot of errors. Nearly had one there. And you can sense, though, Michigan nothing seems easy for them right now. They seem to really be pressing. And they know what's at stake. You can't afford to lose to teams like Eastern Michigan when you have hopes of, hosting postseason games. You can't lose to bad MAC teams. And I think the longer, as we've talked about, Eastern stays in this game, the more Michigan's going to be pressing. They're choking up on the bat a bit more, and even in the field, perhaps pressing a bit more than usual.
First pitch is in there for a strike. Next one misses low. So even count here on Peterson. Peterson, the pinch hitter in the seventh, got a double, hit a double, and came around to score. 1-1 pitch. That one's belted right back up the middle, past the pitcher Henry. That went right past Henry behind his back, and that's a 2-out single for Peterson.
And Henry, I think, in an act of self-preservation, not going to fault him. I think he could have stopped that with his foot. I think he thought it was going to slow down and perhaps allow his middle infielders to make a play on that ball. It was a rocket off the bat. Henry pulled his foot away at the last minute, wisely so. You don't want an injury at this point in the game.
Especially when you're pitching as well as he has.
Right. But Eastern Michigan now with the leading run at first base.
And now we're going to look like we'll go for another pitching change. The pitcher down there in the Wolverines bullpen warming on with his top on, so we can't identify the number, but we'll get you that identity as soon as we know.
Bakich didn't signal yet, so I'm not certain. Henry's pitched well enough that I would be confident in him facing a couple more hitters, but with Marquise Gill, one of the pinch hitters we saw come in earlier in this game, Michigan maybe looking to make the pitching change. This is, I think, perhaps just vintage gamesmanship from Bakich, where he's going to bring the home plate umpire Thomas Newport out there to break up the huddle and allow his pitcher plenty of chances to get a bit more loose. And here he comes, and I think that might be Jackson Lamb. It is.
It is Jackson Lamb coming in here with 2 outs in the ninth. No-nonsense approach by Eric Bakich. He knows this W could mean a lot for the Wolverines. As we mentioned, they're in contention for hosting a regional in the first round of the NCAA tournament if they're able to take care of business in the Big Ten regular season, get that regular season title, maybe even tack on a tournament title as well. That would put them in position to host NCAA tournament regional, but you got to win games like this if you want to do that. So Jackson Lamb, the closer, is coming in for the Wolverines.
He's team shut it down. He's a guy you don't put runs up on the board against Jackson Lamb. He's been absolutely perfect this season, has yet to give up an earned run this year, just 1 run total against him in 14 appearances and 15 innings pitched. We saw him go 2 scoreless against Illinois on Sunday. He is certainly the best closer in the Big Ten. He may, in fact, be one of, if not the best closer in the country. He is automatic on the bump.
A startling move here, though, to bring him in a midweek game, but the Wolverines' offense has not been able to get the job done, so the Wolverines are going to look to turn to Jackson Lamb to get this last out of the top of the ninth and perhaps either pick up the W in the bottom of the ninth or bring Lamb back out if this game goes to extras. Fun fact about Jackson Lamb, he was on he also played outstanding basketball in his hometown of Temperance, Michigan, and was a 3-time all first-team selection in both baseball and basketball. So,
and a great outfielder. I mean, his freshman year, he had a couple Sports Center top 10 plays playing the field out here. So a talented player whose MLB future certainly rests in his pitching right hand. But you just talk about a true athlete playing the sport of baseball.
So Eastern Michigan moved first to get some of their regulars back into the game. They opted to go a little bit younger with some underclassmen, but when it came to crunch time, they brought the starters back in. One of those guys is Marquise Gill. And a foul fly out to the third baseman, Lugbauer, right along the Michigan dugout. First pitch, fastball on the outside corner for a strike. That one's coming in hot. Once again, no doubles look for the Wolverines. The runner on first is Peterson. Has decent speed. The 0-1 pitch. Strike on the outside corner. Perfect pitch there. Quickly 0-2 on Gill. He'll take some time to recollect some thoughts as he goes through the practice swings.
Yeah, he's a painter out there, just picking his spots and laying a dot down. And just with the gas he delivers, good luck if you're a hitter trying to face Jackson Lamb, especially if you haven't seen him throw and you're the first guy who has to face him out of the bullpen. His stuff is something special.
0-2 pitch. That one's well outside. Nice stop there by Wenson to keep it in front of him. Peterson, the runner on first. He represents the go-ahead run in this 1-1 ball game. We're in the top of the ninth. 2 outs. Eastern Michigan versus Michigan. 1-2 pitch. That one's fouled down the first base line and out of play. Count remains 1-2 on Gill.
Good job by Gill just to take a defensive cut and keep yourself alive. Got to be quick with the bat speed against the fastballs that Jackson Lamb can deliver.
Outfield very deep. Lewis only 1 or 2 steps ahead of the warning track in left. 1-2 pitch. Fouled off again. More defensive plate approach here from Gill just to stay alive. Gill came in as a pinch hitter in that 7th inning, unable to get anything done, but the freshman Hager came through and tied this game at 1 apiece. Lamb comes set and delivers the 1-2 pitch. Foul tip into the glove of the catcher. And that will be a strikeout there for Jackson Lamb. The closer gets the job done. We may not have seen the end of him here, but the Wolverines sure hope so. We're going to head to the bottom of the ninth. Wolverines with a chance to win it in walk-off fashion. 1-1 the score between the Wolverines and Eagles. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball.
It does just seem like it's effortless for him. You see him come back in the dugout like it's no big deal, shrugging the shoulders. He expects to go out there and dominate, and that's the attitude and mentality you need from your closing pitcher. And I think you're right. If we go to extras with Michigan, is certainly hoping they don't have to, but he's coming out for another inning. You don't bring him in for one at that. He's got too good of stuff to keep on the bench and take out of this game.
James Harness coming back out for his potentially 3rd inning of work. 2 scoreless innings thus far. Has not given up a hit, but has hit several men to put some runners on. Also with a strikeout.
And Harness is a usual mid-reliever guy, so he's used to going to the 40s, if not 50s, out of the bullpen, only at 26. Certainly in good shape to get out of this inning. After that, who knows? But not a guy I think is in any real jeopardy of being hit out of this game unless it's a walk-off, which Michigan is hoping to do.
Coming up are the 9-1-2 hitters, Wenson, Thomas, and Slater. All excellent hitters. Wenson with some pot in the bat. And all it takes is one swing of the bat at this point to end this ball game.
Michigan, which ended their 9-game winning streak on Sunday in a loss to Illinois, just needs that win. They need to get back on track heading into this pivotal 3-game series against Oklahoma. The Wolverines really could use a boost, and all sorts of momentum would come from a walk-off hit here.
Wenson digging into that righty batter's box. No doubles look by the Eagles, shaded heavily to left field to the pole-hitting Wenson. First pitch lifted high in the air to left field. This one's deep, at the track, at the wall. It's off the wall. Wenson cruising into second. He will get there with a leadoff double. I thought that was out of here.
That's a tall wall. It's only 312 to left field, but the brick wall extremely high, a good 30 or 40 feet. The wind blowing in, I think, is the only thing that prevented this game from being over, but that's exactly what you want from your 9-hitter leading off things. You know he has the power to go opposite field. I was with you. I thought off the bat we were headed home safely, but Michigan will certainly take it. Their leadoff man at second with Akeo Thomas at first. Akeo Thomas led the Big Ten last year in sacrifice bunts with 12. Haven't needed him to do that much this year, especially as the leadoff hitter for the Wolverines. but we know there's no better hitter in this Michigan lineup to lead with a sacrifice bunt.
And we'll see a pinch runner coming in. That's going to be number 43, Dominic Clemente, the freshman outfielder coming in, taking the place of of Wenson. They'll find a new catcher if they need it, but the Wolverines hoping to get out here on walk-off fashion. I sure thought that one was out of here, and as you mentioned, if the wind had not blown it into that sloping wall in left field, it probably would have been out of here.
I got to correct myself. 11 sacrifice bunts led the Big Ten last season.
He will step in, 2 for 3 on the day thus far. Big opportunity here for the Wolverines. Singled in the first, singled in the third, walked in the fourth, and grounded out in the seventh. Sun is poking through the clouds here. All the Wolverines fans in attendance hoping for a happy ending. Clemente, the runner, on second, pinch running for Wenson, who doubled off the wall moments ago. Squares to bunt, and that one's inside, so he'll have to get out of the way.
Yeah, if he was squared up to swing, he's wearing that one on the left thigh.
Yeah, that would have been the 6th hit batter of the day for the Eagles. A lack of control out of their pitchers who have otherwise had a sterling performance and limiting the damage of the Wolverines.
More walks and hit by pitches than hits allowed this game.
Working from the stretch is Harness. Infield in for the Eagles. 1-0 pitch. Squares to bunt again, pulls it back. 2-0 on Thomas. We'll see if he squares to bunt or is free to swing here. Nick Jones, the third baseman, and Owings, the first baseman, on the infield fake turf, hugging the lines. Middle of the infield in as well. Squares to bunt, and that's a good one down the third base line. Jones will pick it up, fire over to first, and that's exactly what you need to do if you're Thomas. That moves the winning run to third base with only 1 out.
Yeah, textbook couldn't have asked him to lay down a better bunt, especially move the runner over. You want to keep it relatively tight to the third base line, force the third baseman, Jones, to come play it, because obviously when he leaves third, it gives no reason for the pinch runner at second in Clemente to advance to third. So executed absolutely perfectly. Slater now just needs a deep fly ball to send this home.
I believe we will see a pitching change here from the Eagles, or at least a mound conference, as they give a pitcher a little more time to warm up out there. Still trying to identify the Eagle getting loose. Slater 0 for 4 on the day. Struck out in the first. A fielder's choice in the third before flying out in both the 4th and 7th inning. He has a chance to win the game for the Wolverines. Leo's working on identifying the Eastern Michigan player that'll be likely coming into the game for Harness.
Looks like it's Matthew Beaton, 6'4", 210-pound senior out of Ontario, Canada. But I'm not so sure they're going to bring him in at this point.
They're going to stick with Harness for right now. 1 out here in the bottom of the 9th. Wolverines with a chance to win this crosstown showdown.
This is where the lack of depth, though, is really a killer for Eastern Michigan. They don't have any left-handers available, and with the lefty Slater up, they got a right-hander getting loose in the pen, but I'm not really sure it will make a difference, right-hander or another right-hander.
Infield and outfield in. First pitch is a strike on the inside corner.
And this is what Harness needs to do. He's just got to keep pitches low and keep them inside. Don't give him anything that he can put up and send to the outfield, which is obviously playing shallow with speed at third and 90 feet separating the Wolverines from a victory.
The 0-1 delivery. Swing and lifted high in the air to left field. That one's going to get foul and out of play. Quickly 0-2 on Johnny Slater.
2 confident pitches, both inside, not allowing Slater to drive one.
The infield still perched on the edge of that turf. Outfield very shallow as well. 1 out here in the 9th. Slater can win it. Harness comes set. The 0-2 delivery. That one's fouled off. Nice piece of defensive hitting there from Slater.
Slider outside, just needed to take a cut at that, keep himself alive. Too close to the plate to take on an 0-2 pitch.
And 2 on Johnny Slater. 1 out here in the bottom of the 9th. 1-1 game. Michigan versus Eastern Michigan. Harness delivers the 0-2 pitch. That one's just inside. Eastern Michigan's dugout can't believe it.
Good
That one
sell
was
job.
close.
Good sell job by Slater, lifting the hands like it might catch a piece of him. Senior's going to get a call like that every once in a while. Harness frustrated, though, can't lose focus. He thought the pitch should have went his way. It didn't, but he can't afford to slip up here.
The 1-2 pitch. Harness taking his time. Now comes Set. He delivers. 1-2 pitch outside. Well outside. Fastball doesn't hit its spot. Evens the count at 2-2.
And he's got another pitch to waste. He doesn't need to get too cute here and try to blow by Slater. Try to get him to chase once more before you have to throw a potential pitch to hit.
2-2 pitch. Swing and lifted. Popped in the air. That's going to stay in the infield and not bring the run home. Jones underneath it, and he will make the catch right at the edge of the infield turf. And that's out number 2. Slater unable to get the job done.
And now the infield can track back to regular fielding depth. Same with the outfield. Blown opportunity there for Michigan, which really been the story of this game offensively. On the verge of stranding their 11th runner, but still the winning run's 90 feet away from the plate, and Michael Berdar is batting .318 on the year.
Batting .318 on the year, 1 for 3 on the day, also hit by a pitch. One of 5 Wolverines to be hit by a pitch today. First pitch. That's going to be a strike on the outside corner.
That looked like a pitch to hit there for Berdar, but taking all the way in this tight situation. The game on the line.
Clemente edges off third base. He's the potential winning run. Next pitch, a strike called on the outside corner. Another fastball gets in there, 0-2, and the Wolverines look on the verge of blowing another opportunity. Harness sets and delivers, and that one's in the dirt. Clemente took off for home, and I think that distracted Stidham a little bit, but able to keep it in front of him. But if he had let that one by on, the game very well could have been over on a wild pitch.
Yeah, and a great block by Stidham, but we see that's a pretty common play for Michigan when they have a guy on third against a right-handed pitcher. They always dart like they're going to try to swipe home. We haven't seen them try to do that at all this year, but as you said, I think Harness wasn't expecting to see it and got shook for a moment. And fortunately for him, he has a few pitches to waste still.
Taking his time on the mound, now delivers. 1-2 pitch. That one's a chopper to shortstop. That should be the third out, and then fires in the dirt, and they just got him. A nice play there by Owings. If he had let that one get away, that would have been the game. Clemente had crossed home, but they're able to get the third out of the inning, and we'll head to extra innings here at Ray Fisher Stadium. 1-1 your score. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball.
Marquise Gill played that one a bit too cool for comfort, and a great pick by Owings in there as a substitute at first, saving the game, I think, as you said.
And instead, we'll head to extras. Jackson Lamb will return to the mound for the Wolverines, looking to shut things down yet again. He got his one out in the 9th and was hoping not to have to head out here in the 10th, but nonetheless, he will look to give the Wolverines another chance to win in the bottom of the 10th. Coming up is the 8-9-1 hitters. We could see some pinch hitters coming in here for the Eagles, and I believe we will. We see Hager's swinging a bat. He's coming up first, but we also see Zachary Owings. Excuse me. So he's already in the game. So he is ready to go. 8-9-1 here. Hager, Owings, and Metashevsky against Jackson Lamb, an elite closer for the Wolverines. The fans are sticking around to see the end of this one. Not a whole lot in attendance for this midweek game. Those that are here and here to stay.
Been treated to a really good baseball game, really good pitching, got a very National League feel to it, a pitcher's duel.
So we will see a defensive substitution coming in at third base, and I believe that Lugbauer is going to move behind the plate. We'll see if indeed is Lugbauer, but I believe it is. It is Lugbauer, and it's going to be Kerr moving in to third base. So Kerr coming in for the Wolverines. Lugbauer coming in behind the plate. Wenson did his job, lifting a double about as far as you can hit in this ballpark without it going out, bouncing off that wall in left field. I thought it was going to end it, but the Wolverines unable to bring the pinch runner Clemente home, and we head to extra innings. Kerr coming in at third base for the Wolverines. Lugbauer shifting behind the plate. For Hager, 1 for 3 on the day, but that's the biggest hit of the day for this Eastern Michigan team.
And Michigan's 2-0 this year in extra inning games, beating Seton Hall back on February 18th, 8-7 in 10, and Creighton on the 25th of February, 7-6 in 10. Wolverines hoping it'll only take 10 to put away the Eagles, but I don't think they expected to be at this point against an Eastern Michigan side that came into this game at 12-19. They've looked good, though, today, especially their pitching. And Michigan now 11 stranded runners at the end of all these innings. You need Jackson Lamb to deliver. They also need the bats to come to life.
First pitch is a ground ball to Thomas. Thomas fields it and flips over to first base. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the top of the 10th. Easy ground out there off the bat of Hager, so unable to duplicate his magic from the 7th inning. That brings up Owings. Came in as a pinch hitter in that 7th. Grounded out to end that threat. First pitch to him is a ball low, just missed on the outside of the plate to the lefty Owings. The righty Lamb against the lefty. He delivers. Next pitch also misses. Well, that's going to be a strike. So it will even the count of 1-1 pretty much in the same spot. 1-1 the count on Owings, the number 9 hitter. That one gets past Lugbauer, seeing his first action in catcher today. 2-1. To refresh you for the Wolverines, it's Lewis in left, Slater in center, Engelman in right, Kerr, Berdar, Thomas, and Bivens on the infield. Next pitch is inside, 3-1 on Owings. Owings does have decent speed, but not much of a base stealing threat. Next pitch is going to be outside for a walk. That one looked like a strike to me, but Owings will toss the bat aside and head down to first. And Eastern Michigan has the potential go-ahead run at first base with only 1 out and the top of the order coming up.
Lamb looking for an infield grounder now. But Eastern Michigan has found a way to manufacture 1 run already, and they're a team that has executed small ball when called upon back in the 7th.
That Jackson Lamb's only 6th walk in over 15 innings of work this year. First pitch is chopped foul. The new third baseman, Kerr, will toss it back to his pitcher, Lamb. 0-1 on Matuszewski, 0 for 4 on the day. Struck out swinging in the first quite a while ago when Vancena set down the side. 3 ground outs since then. Lamb comes set. He'll deliver. Next pitch misses low. Evens the count at 1-1 on Matuszewski. High leverage situation here for the Wolverines. Looking to get to the bottom of the 10th. Have another chance to win this ball game. Outfield very, very deep all around. Lewis only a few steps in front of the warning track in left. Slater and Engelman deep as well. Next pitch is ground on a high chop to third base. That one goes foul. 1-2. Game time temperature at 4:01 p.m. was 70 degrees, but rapidly cooling off here, getting into the mid-50s here as we approach 7 o'clock. Middle of the infield in double play depth. That's Thomas and Berdar. The 1-2 pitch that's lifted high in the air to right field. That's going to be in shallow right field. Engelman charging hard, and he will be called off by Thomas. Thomas just snuck out there into shallow right field. That was a long run for Engelman when he was playing so deep in the no doubles look. And typical Michigan outfielder fashion, loses his hat in the hard pursuit of the fly ball, but Thomas able to bail him out and get the second out here in the top of the 10th. Still a runner on first. in the form of potential go-ahead run.
Alert defense by Thomas, just being aware of the situation, knowing that the outfield's playing so deep. A play that you'd almost always see the right fielder make. Thomas had a good jump on that one and anticipated his need to make that play.
First pitch from Lamb is a strike in the outside corner to Stidham. Stidham, 3 strikeouts on the day, also with a single. Was stranded at third in the 4th inning. Lamb taking his time now, delivers. Another strike on the outside corner. Fastball gets in there. Quickly 0-2, 1 strike away from getting to the bottom of the 10th. Outfield remains very deep. Lewis perched on that warning track out in left field. Carrick guiding line at third. 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Big strikeout there by Jackson Lamb. We'll head to the bottom of the 10th. All even at 1. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Wolverines with another chance to win it coming up.
Yeah, Michigan, they just need those bats to come to life. Seems like they're due for a hit. I can't remember the last time the Wolverines have been this frustrated. Perhaps looking back to March 2nd at UCLA when they lost 1-0. But outside of that, the Wolverines have not had a game where they failed to score at least 1 run. Or I should say more than 1 run.
And we will see.
Just the second time this year the Wolverines, at least through 9 innings, have been held to 1 run or fewer.
Harness returns to the mound for the Eagles. 3 standout innings, only 39 pitches for those 3 innings. And as Leo mentioned, a middle reliever comfortable with a heavy workload. And not only would the Eagles really love to come out of here with a win, they'd also love to go down to Columbus tomorrow, only having used 2 of their pitchers. I mean, this is a thin pitching staff. They've only used 2 of their guys. They do have a few guys warming up in the bullpen, so they're prepared to use them if necessary. But if they can get out of here with the win, only using 2 pitchers, that's an ultimate win for this Eagles side.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that you go 10 innings, your starting pitcher is not super efficient, but does the job to limit Michigan to just 1 run. It was certainly not how you would have scripted, I think, the pitching performance of your Eastern Michigan given the pitch counts, but it's been managed extremely well by their head coach, Mark Van Amie.
Harness throwing his final warm-up pitches, and it'll be the 4, 5, 6 hitters for the Wolverines. Lugbauer, Lewis, and Bivens. Lugbauer 0 for 2 on the day. Also has drawn a walk and was hit by a pitch in the 8th. He'll dig into that lefty batter's box, and we'll see where the Eastern Michigan defense aligns. Wind continues to blow towards the left field foul pole, and arguably is the only thing why this game is kept going. We saw a long drive off the bat of Wentz and looked like it was going to get out of here, but was blown back against the wall, and Wentz had to settle for a double last inning. First pitch. That one's in the dirt. Nice block there by Stidham. Stidham started the game in center, moved behind the plate, and a defensive shuffling for the Eagles. 1-0 pitch. That's grounded on a high chop to the first baseman. He's going to flip it over to Harness covering first, and they'll get the out there. 1 up, 1 down here in the bottom of the 10th.
Just good, sound, fundamental defense by Eastern Michigan. They've looked unflappable. They've had plenty of opportunities to make that crucial mistake. They've matched Michigan punch for punch in this fight.
Now coming up is Miles Lewis, 1 for 4 on the day. Fielder's choice back in the first, struck out in the 3rd, singled in the 5th. First pitch. Lifted in the air to center field. This one could get down for a hit, and it is going to be caught by a hard-charging Peterson. Nice play there. He was playing fairly deep in center field, but he's able to make the catch, and that's another out here for the Wolverines in the bottom of the 10th. He was playing deep there, and it looked like it might fall between the center fielder, right fielder, and second baseman pursuing it, but a nice play there by Peterson, the substitute center fielder coming in here and making the catch.
And I guess it's worth noting because we don't know. It's a non-conference game, so ties are a possibility. We haven't been informed, though, that they plan to just end this after 10. But that is a potential reason we're not seeing more activity in either bullpen.
That's a strike from James Harness on the outside corner to Bivens. The 0-1 pitch, nice breaking ball there, just misses. Buckled the knees of Bivens, nothing he could do but watch it go by. But fortunately for him, it misses low and away. Evens the count at 1-1. Outfield shallow on Bivens. He'll lift it high in the air to left field. This one is going to hook foul and out of play. But that one had a lot of distance on it.
Yeah, he popped it up right where you want it with the wind blowing towards left field. Just needed to be a little bit earlier on that swing to send it over the wall opposite field from the left-handed batter's box.
That went about 305 feet down left field line, but also about a solid 10-foot foul as well. So instead, Bivens will dig back in, 1 for 2 on the day with 2 hit by pitches, and face a 1-2 count here. Here's the pitch. Just misses outside. Evens the count at 2-2. 1-1 here in the bottom of the 10th. Wolverines versus the Eagles. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Eastern delivers. This is lifted in the air to right field. Tracking back is the right fielder, Montgomery, and he'll make the play. He was in shallow against the lefty Bivens. And Bivens will trot back in, and we'll see if they're going to continue playing this game or if that's going to do it. They're going to keep
they're
going.
Coming out there. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I didn't think they would end it. You do see ties sometimes in these non-conference games, but certainly the luxury these two teams have is Eastern Michigan. It's a 15-minute drive back to their campus, and it's only 7 o'clock here in Ann Arbor, so no hurry for either of these teams. I know we're certainly happy to see them keep playing. It's been a really good baseball game between these two sides. In what on paper we certainly didn't expect to be very competitive. Eastern Michigan, I would argue, has almost been the better side. Certainly their pitching has matched Michigan throw for throw.
Yeah, it's been a startling game here for the Wolverines offense, but the pitching has gotten the job done. And Jackson Lamb would return for another inning on the mound, 1 1/3 thus far. He's been shut down. Did give up a rare walk last inning, but also 2 strikeouts. He's going to come back out here, face the 3-4-5, heart of the order for the Eagles. And they'll have a chance to get the go-ahead run or runs here and sneak out of Ann Arbor with a victory. First up will be Williams. He's 1 for 3 in the day, followed by Montgomery, 1 for 4. Jones also 1 for 4. Wolverines stick with their same defensive alignment, and we are ready to get underway here in the top of the 11th. Coming up is the DH, Brennan Williams. 1 for 3 in the day, strikeout looking in the first, doubled in the fourth. Then walked in the 6th before popping out to the shortstop in the 8th. Takes the first pitch low, 1-0. Michigan defense plays the lefty to pull. Bivens perched just a few steps off that first base line. 1-0 pitch, squares to bunt down the third base line, but that one is well foul. Trickles over to the Wolverines dugout. Evens the count at 1-1. We will see another Wolverines pitcher getting loose. A few pitchers actually there out in the bullpen. One is obscured by the telephone pole. We'll get you those names as soon as we figure out who those pitchers are getting loose. This one's a line shot, well foul into the Yost parking lot.
And this is not what certainly Michigan wanted. Already they've had to use 5 pitchers in this game. You don't want to expand or expel any more arms than you need to, especially with that huge 3-game series that we keep talking about against Oklahoma starting on Thursday. Perhaps Michigan was overlooking this one as much as I was.
Here comes the 2-2 pitch from Lamb. The delivery. That one's belted in the air to left field. Lewis is right there on the warning track. He will make the catch. He was playing deep, and it went almost right to him. a long shot, and perhaps if Michigan's defense was another lineman, that could have been extra bases for Williams. But instead, that's out number 1 here in the top of the 11th.
Loud fly ball. The wind helping that out.
Montgomery will dig in here. He's 1 for 4 in the day. Grounded out in the 2nd and 4th innings. A single in the 6th, and then struck out swinging in the 9th. Also played some Sterling right field there for the normal designated hitter for this Eagles squad. He'll take strike 1. Wolverines expect the lefty to pull. They have a hard shift on with 3 infielders on the right side. The 0-1 pitch. That one's driven to the left side, well out of play. That one's going to go off of Yost Ice Arena. Quickly 0-2 on Montgomery. 1 out here in the top of the 11th. Scores tied at 1 apiece. Wolverines versus Eagles in this cross-Washtenaw County showdown. The 0-2 delivery misses outside. Lamb had some pitches to work with. And a nice eye there by Montgomery to stay alive. Outfield very deep all around. Lewis in left, Slater in center, and Engelman in right. Next pitch is a strike 3 called on Montgomery. That's Jackson Lamb's 3rd strike of the day, and out number 2 in the 11th.
Lamb just so good on the mound. Just need some runs from Michigan at this point because the pitching has not been the problem.
Lamb sitting at 27 pitches, so we can get out of this inning. That probably is the end of the day for Jackson Lamb. But first things first, he's facing Nick Jones. 1 for 4 in the day. Takes the first pitch strike, paints the outside corner. Beauty of a fastball there. Nick Jones waiting for the 0-1 pitch. Another strike, fastball outside. It's hard to get around as a college hitter on those 90-plus mile-an-hour fastballs on the outside corner. Nick Jones, 0-2 pitch. That one's fouled. Line shot down the right field line, and that bounces off a few cars down there. I don't think it did any damage. Still 0-2 on Nick Jones. Looking to get the potential go-ahead run on base with 2 outs here in the 11th. 0-2 pitch, belted foul again. Over there down the right field line. Good defensive hitting there by Nick Jones. Outfield remains very deep all around. No doubles look on the infield as well with Bivens and Kerr guarding the lines. 0-2 pitch. That one's going to be fouled, and that's actually going to be a live ball.
No, the third base umpire, Stuart Hall, immediately said it was foul.
And they are going to say
threw his hands up immediately. He was quick to it.
So they are going to say it's a foul ball. Stuart Hall will call that foul. Thomas Newport was willing to let that one play on. I guess he didn't get a good look at it. As Coach Backridge argued, he didn't get a good look on that slide in the 7th inning that allowed Eastern Michigan to tie the game up. That's where we are here right now. 1-1 here in the top of the 11th. 2 outs. Jackson Lamb versus Nick Jones. The 0-2 pitch. And he got him looking. Strikeout number 4 for Jackson Lamb on pitch number 32. That could be the end of the day for Jackson Lamb, but the Wolverines have work to do on offense. It's tied at 1. We head to the bottom of the 11th. Wolverines looking to win this one in extra innings from Ray Fisher Stadium. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Heading back out there, James Harness yet again, the workhorse out of the bullpen. Going for inning number 5.
I mean, it's working for him. Keep him out there. He hasn't shown any signs of struggle. And when Michigan's got themselves in a chance to fight the winning run, I mean, they had a guy on third with 1 out back in the 9th. No reason to change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right now, Harness in a groove.
Poirier, Engelman, and Kerr, the scheduled batters for the Wolverines. We could see a pinch hitter for Kerr as well. They'll get there as the third batter, but first up is Poirier. 1 for 2 on the day. Or excuse me, 2 for 4. Singled in the second, struck out swinging in the fourth, doubled in the sixth down the right field line, and then struck out in the eighth. Big strikeout in the eighth. The Wolverines had a chance to take the lead in the eighth and close out in the ninth, but Poirier unable to get the job done. But he'll have another chance here, get on base for the Wolverines, and provide a chance to win it in the 11th. Engelman on deck. Eagles perhaps scarcely playing average depth here in the outfield, not in the no doubles look. They are guarding the lines with the corner infielders. First pitch to Poirier is well outside. Fastball misses. Harness's 47th pitch of the afternoon. Poirier digging back in here, waiting for the 1-0. Lefty swings right back at us, but that one goes into the netting. I thought that one was headed right towards me. Evens the count at 1-1. Poirier stepping in that lefty batter's box, perched on the backside of it. The 1-1 pitch. Lifted high in the air to center field. And Pearson is going to be underneath it. He will make the catch, backed up by Medashevsky. 1 up, 1 down here in the bottom of the 11th. Up comes Engelman. He will step to the plate here, trying to get a runner on board. Wolverines trying to get this offense going and just be able to get home. They got to rest up. They got 1 day off on Wednesday before opening up against Oklahoma on Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. Just a reminder, that game will be on WCBN Sports. Tune in here or on WCBNsports.org. Jonathan Engelman digging in 0 for 4 on the day. Still hitting .305 on the year. First pitch, line down the right field line, foul. That was a shot, but well out of play. 0-1 on Engelman. We will see Kerr remaining in there in the on-deck circle, so he's going to get a chance to bat here.
This, of course, Michigan now their longest game of the season, reaching the 11-inning mark.
The 0-1 pitch well outside, evens the count at 1-1. The corner infielders are guarding the line, but the rest of the outfield is in average depth. 1-1. Harness delivers. That one's a ground ball to short. And that's going to be an error there, right through the legs of Gill. He thought he was going to play in a hop. And is that the break Michigan's been looking for right there? Gill perhaps too nonchalant in the ninth when he had a ground ball to end or to move it to extra innings and just barely got the run at first. That one he was going to play on a hop, but he lets it go right through his legs.
Yeah, just it seemed like he was trying to play that too cool for school. He sort of jogged up to it, just stuck the glove down, hoping it would hop in, but he didn't play that confidently. Or I should say he played that overconfidently. It was a bizarre play. Certainly not how you teach anyone to feel ground ball. He sort of jogged up at it. And that was a speedster in Engelman and not a guy you can afford to lollygag to the baseball. Certainly you can't miss it entirely.
Engelman with speed on first base. 4 for 5 on stolen bases on the year. First pitch to Kerr is a ball on the outside. Engelman on first. Owings staying with him there. Middle of the infield and double play depth. Throw to first base. That's well behind. Engelman slides back in safely. Outfield average depth, pretty much straight up. Montgomery a little bit shallow in right field. Jones guarding the line on the left field. Down third base. 1-0 pitch. That one's fouled high and out of play over towards Yost Ice Arena. Evens the count at 1-1. Thomas on deck for the Wolverines.
Kerr, a Scottsdale native. His dad also played baseball here at the University of Michigan.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. We're in the 11th inning. 1 run apiece between these sides. An error put Engelman on first base moments ago. Pick-off throw over to first base. Engelman back in there safely.
I don't have class till 10 a.m. tomorrow, so we may be here all night, and I'm prepared to do so.
We're in the 11th here. I don't have class till 11:30, so I can go
So you
solo.
may have to go solo.
And that one's going to be a fly ball to left field. Tracking back is Maniszewski, and he'll make a nice catch tracking back. Engelman will have to retreat back to first base. That's out number 2 here in the bottom of the 11th. Hard hit ball there, but a little bit too high in the air. Maniszewski is able to track back from average depth position and make a play backpedaling about 10 steps away from the warning track. Akeo Thomas will have a chance here. He did his job in the 9th inning. After Wenson opened with a double high off the wall, Akeo Thomas was able to sacrifice the pinch runner over to third base, but the Wolverines were not able to get the job done, and that's why we're here still playing baseball. We're in the bottom of the 11th, 2 outs. Akeo Thomas at the plate takes the first pitch for a strike.
Thomas, who's not known for the pop off his bat, the outfield, though, playing really shallow, which is somewhat bizarre with 2 outs. If he somehow gets a drive into this one, this game's not over yet. Or I should say this inning and the thread not over yet.
Pickoff throw. Engelman able to slide back in safely with a head-first slide. Owings, the substitute first baseman, staying with Engelman there. Jones guarding the line at third base. Harness will throw another pickoff attempt. That one was pretty close, but Engelman's back in there safely. As Leo mentioned, very shallow outfield here. Significantly cooler from when we started the day. Kicked off at 4:01 p.m. at 70 degrees. It's now down to 51 degrees here in Ann Arbor. Next pitch, belted in the air over the head of the center fielder, Peterson. He's able to make the catch, tracking back. I thought that was going to do it again. Peterson was very shallow, but good read off the bat, able to track back, sprinting to straightaway center field, reaches up and makes the play. Another defensive play by the Eagles, and the error does not come back to haunt them. We head to the top of the 12th. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball.
So we head to the top of the 12th, longest game Michigan has played this entire season. And they will go to the bullpen once again, I believe. Yes, Jackson Lamb, his afternoon and I guess now evening is over. Jack Bredesen, the right-handed sophomore, 6'6", 235 out of Heartland, Wisconsin. Of course, his brother Ben Bredesen plays for the football team here at the University of Michigan, who will have their spring game Saturday. Hopefully this game done before then, but who knows, as we're here in the bottom or the top of the 12th. Kerr in still at third. Berdar at short. Thomas at second. Bivens at first. And now Bredesen on the bump. The catcher for Michigan at this point, Drew Lugbauer, with Harrison Wenson taken out back in the bottom of the 9th when he had led things off with a leadoff double that just barely missed clearing the brick wall in left field. That would have been a walk-off home run to end it. Instead, we're here in the 12th. Give a lot of credit, though, Andrew, to Eastern Michigan, who played really well down the stretch, got a timely run back in the 7th, and their pitching has been outstanding.
Yeah, this is not what we expected. This is a team with a team ERA over 5, and really their lack of depth coming into the season has been decimated by injuries, but they've only had to go to 2 different pitchers in this game, and both, despite not being the most efficient, have been able to get the job done, limit this potent offense to only 1 run, and that's why we're still playing in the 12th. Bredesen will step in here, the 6'6", 235-pound righty.
Comes from an athletic family, as mentioned a moment ago. His brother Ben, offensive lineman on the Michigan football team, is Jordan Peterson, steps in for the 3rd time this afternoon, came in back in the 7th. Had a double, a single in the 9th, sends one back up the middle just by the glove of Bredesen to Thomas at second. He double clutches the throw in time for the first out of the inning. Ron Nordquist, no hesitation to call the out. I'm not so sure he got that call right. Perhaps he's in a hurry to get home, but a bang play, and I think Michigan catches another break there as Peterson was hard charging down the first base line. Didn't manage to beat out the double clutch throw from Thomas at second to first for the out number 1.
Yeah, a little bit surprising there. That's one Bredesen should have been able to react to. It wasn't particularly hard hit. And then Thomas just double clutched, as you mentioned. I really don't know if he got it. We'll have a word from the head coach, Mark Vandermeide, coming out to have a few words with Rod Nordquist, but that will not change his mind. That'll be out number 1 here in the top of the 12th.
Marquise Gill, pinch hit back in the 7th, struck out in the 9th. He's 0 for 2 on the afternoon. Here in the top of the 12th, a spiked pitch blocked by Lugbauer. 1-0 to Marquise Gill.
Gill with that error just moments ago, but the Wolverines unable to capitalize.
The fifth-year senior sends it right back up the middle. A seeing eye single will be fielded by Slater in center field, and Marquise Gill is aboard with a 1-out single here in the top of the 12th. 1-1 between the 13th ranked Michigan Wolverines and Eastern Michigan here at Ray Fisher Stadium.
Marquise Gill, one of the arguably the biggest base stealing threat in this Eagles lineup. 6 stolen bases on the year.
And not the typical catcher. Harrison Wenson out of this game. Drew Lugbauer, of course, has played catcher in the past, but will be interesting to see if Marquise Gill tests the arm of the substitute catcher, Drew Lugbauer. Takes a 3 or 4 step lead. The first pitch to Devin Hager misses low and outside. 1-0 with 1 out here in the top of the 12th.
Hager with the biggest hit of the day. RBI single in the 7th inning to left center field, driving the run, tie this game up. That's where we are right now.
1-0 pitch from Bredesen to Hager. Once again, low and outside. A nice snag with the backhand made by our catcher, Drew Lugbauer. Count now 2-0.
Outfield very deep in the no doubles look. Gill has the speed to score on a double and give the Eagles the lead.
One away here in the top of the 12th. The 2-0 pitch with a man on first in there for a called strike. The throw off from home gets out of the glove of Bivens for a moment. The tag not applied in time anyway. But the strike, more important, sends the count to 2-1 against Devin Hager.
Plenty of time from Hager to step out of the right-handed batter's box, review the signs. He's in no hurry to get home.
A freshman from Commerce Township, Michigan, 5'10", 175 in there in that right-handed batter's box. Gill going, the hit and run to perfection. Thomas has to backtrack to get to it. Throw on the run in time. A spectacular play by Akeo Thomas, who is covering the bag at second, trying to get Gill out, who was stealing from first to second. Managed to backtrack, get the soft grounder, and fire it in time for out number 2. But Gill is in scoring position as he's moved over on the grounder. But more importantly, I think for Michigan, Thomas able to backtrack and prevent runners from reaching first and second safely. A spectacular play by the second baseman, Akeo Thomas.
Yeah, that's a very nice play there. Changes direction. He's going full speed to second base to try and cover. And I don't know if they would have gotten Gill if there hadn't been any contact on the play, but hit and run, as you mentioned, execute to perfection. Nice play, changes direction, and flips it over to Bivens at first. So a big second out here in the top of the 12th.
And if that ball has a little more pace on it, it gets by Thomas, and Gill is headed for third. Michigan will benefit, though, from an awkward hop perhaps off the turf. 2 away, but Marquise Gill is at second, representing the leading run here in the top of the 12th. 1-1 the score between Michigan and Eastern Michigan. You're listening to the Michigan Baseball Student Radio Network, WCBN-FM Ann Arbor. Eric Bakich has come out of the dugout to conference on the mound. And Michigan's going to go to the bullpen once again. It's a lefty. The question is who will come in to replace Jack Bredesen. The man at second, Marquise Gill, is still his responsibility. He represents the leading run. 180 feet from taking the lead in this game. Austin Batka will be the new pitcher for the Wolverines.
Pitcher number 7 for the Wolverines in this game. Batka coming in here. 5 appearances, 6 innings on the year. A sterling 150 ERA, 8 strikeouts against only 3 walks. So another strong arm coming out of the bullpen for the Wolverines. And Batka's going to have a chance, as I mentioned, the 7th pitcher, the lefty coming in to face the lefty Owings here in the top of the 12th. Potential go-ahead run on second base.
And this run and song cheeseburger imperative. How about that from the 7th pitcher Michigan will throw out tonight? Certainly not ideal given the big series coming up this weekend against Oklahoma. But as you said, the Wolverines now on their 7th pitcher against a 12-19 MAC opponent in Eastern Michigan, who has given the Wolverines everything they can handle. And Michigan not taking this lightly. They're expending all resources they have available to them to come away with the victory against crosstown rival.
Austin Batka, the 5'11 lefty, 180-pound junior from Grand Rapids, Michigan, played at Grand Rapids Christian, also the same school as our fellow broadcaster here on WCBN, Jeremy Parks, also a junior from Grand Rapids Christian. A little different path here, though. Played his freshman year at University of Illinois Chicago before transferring to Lincoln Trail Community College and then ending up here at Michigan this year. 5 appearances thus far, as I mentioned. And another strong arm out of the bullpen. This is a luxury of depth the Wolverines enjoy. And you mentioned earlier in the game, just finding enough playing time is a challenge for some of these pitchers. Well,
not today.
Not today. Another pitcher is getting loose in the Eastern Michigan bullpen. It may be the end of the day, as they've only used 2 pitchers this far. Scholl Harness working through 11 one-run innings.
And Michigan, you're looking for where their run came. It came back in the 2nd inning, so it has been a complete game in terms of innings and then some since Michigan played at their last run. Offense ice cold tonight. 12 left on base for the Wolverines. Eastern Michigan trying to avoid leaving their 8th man on base in the form of Marquise Gill, who's at second representing the leading runner in the leading run here in this game with 2 away in the top of the 12th. 1-1 still between the 13th ranked Michigan Wolverines and Eastern Michigan. Austin Batka ready to deliver the first pitch of the game for him to Drake Lubin, a pinch hitter, making his first plate appearance in this game as well, coming in with a batting average of .230. With runners in scoring position this year, .286, batting .357 with 2 outs, and he takes a big cut with confidence, but misses everything to fall behind 0-1.
Yeah, Michigan goes with the lefty reliever, so Eastern counters with the righty pinch hitter. .230 on the year.
The 0-1 pitch from Batka. Inside, blocked by Lugbauer at the shoestrings of Lubin.
That's a good block there. Keep Gill at second base, prevent the go-ahead run from getting only 90 feet from home. Wolverines fairly shallow all around and straight up in the outfield.
Marquise Gill at second represents the leading run. The 1-1 pitch from Batka to Lubin with 2 outs here in the top of the 12th. A 1-1 game between Michigan and Eastern Michigan. The 1-1. Gill going all the way, inside pitch, and Lugbauer not able to corral it in the transfer from glove to hand, and that allows Gill to swipe third. And now Gill is just 90 feet away from plating the leading run in this game with 2 outs in the inning.
I'm surprised there wasn't a little bit more protest from Lugbauer. It looked like Lubin knocked the ball out of his hand, but nonetheless, unable to get the throw off on the transfer.
And based on the limited protest, guessing it was just a missed transfer and nothing more. The 2-1 pitch inside at the knees to even the count at 2-2, and Batka now 1 pitch away from escaping the jam. Again, Bredesen responsible for the runner at third. 2 away here in the top of the 12th. The 2-2 pitch from Batka to Lubin upcoming with the game tied at 1-1 between Michigan and Eastern Michigan. The leading run at third base in the form of Marquise Gill. The 2-2 pitch, breaking ball, just missed, and I'm not sure where. A lot of break. That went over the heart of the plate. It must have missed low, but I tell you, Andrew House, but I'm not sure where that one missed. The Michigan infield and outfield was already tracking in, and now Batka has to regather himself with the count full and 2 outs in the inning. The payoff pitch upcoming with the leading runner at third. The 3-2 pitch, inside, strike 3, a makeup call there. That was not a strikeout pitch, but the previous one was. Either way, Batka gets the job done, and we head to the bottom of the 12th. It's a 1-1 game. Marquise Gill stranded at third.
2 curious calls there from Thomas Newport. He's had quite an interesting game there behind the plate. Obviously, in a tied game that goes to the 12th, you're going to be under a lot of heavy eyes, examining every move, but definitely should have been a strikeout on pitch number 5. That one was a perfect breaking ball, just buckled the knees of the pinch hitter. And the next one certainly was not a strike, well inside the plate, but it was called nonetheless. And Michigan able to get out of a jam. We head to the bottom of the 12th. We're still playing baseball here at Ray Fisher Stadium. The sun's about to go down.
You usually don't see makeup calls materialize that evidently, but the strikeout pitch came 2 pitches ago from Baca. He certainly earned the strikeout, but that called third strike was a really, really bad call. That could have taken the stitching off the batter's socks there. Michigan will take it, though. We head to the bottom of the 12th.
2 up for the Wolverines will be Slater, Berdar, and Lugbauer, the 2, 3, 4 hitters for the Wolverines.
Matt Schumann in at first base now for the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Schumann, 6'1", 186-pound sophomore from Portage, Michigan, attended Portage Northern High School. Johnny Slater to lead things off here in the bottom of the 12th. Michigan looking for one big swing of the bat to send us home safely and, more importantly, happily.
Johnny Slater, only 1 home run thus far in the year. He's had a number of big-time hits throughout his Michigan career.
James Harness back in there, his 6th inning of work underway with the first pitch outside for a ball. 1-0 to Johnny Slater, who's 0 for 5 on the day. Struck out in the first, grounded out to first in the third, flew out to center in the fourth, flew out to right in the 7th, and popped out to third, or the shortstop rather, back in the 9th. A complicated scorecard, but the end result has seen him fail to reach base at all in this game. The count even at 1-1. Harness readies, delivers. Now the 2-1 pitch. Swung on, sent into right field. The wind blowing it in. Should keep it in the yard. The right fielder, Montgomery, tracking under it to make the catch 10 yards shy of the warning track for out number 1 here in the 12th.
Good contact there by Slater. Not every day you see a 300 hitter go 0 for 6 on the day. Nice contact, but just a little bit too much air underneath it, and Montgomery's able to run over there, make the play. That's 1 out here in the bottom of the 12th.
1 out here in the bottom of the 12th. Michael Berdar stepping up. He's 1 for 4 on the day, was hit by a pitch back in the first, had his single come back in the third. And he's gone up and down 3 straight times, sends a grounder foul down the third base line. And 0-1 to Harness, who's been nothing short of remarkable out of the bullpen, has given up just 1 hit in 5 1/3 innings of work. That pitch outside over the black. Bell tie 0-2.
Yeah, Harness very efficient through 5 1/3 innings. Only 63 pitches thus far.
A talented freshman out of Huber Heights, Ohio, readies to deliver the 0-2 pitch. Swung on, sent back up the middle. The second baseman, Gill, over there, fires it across the diamond in time for out number 2 in the inning. No trouble with that one for the replacement shortstop, Marquise Gill. 2 away here in the bottom of the 12th. 1-1 between Michigan and Eastern Michigan.
A much more focused defensive effort there by Marquise Gill. We saw him just an inning ago make a crucial error that ended up not costing the Eagles, but really nonchalant on that previous play. That one much more focused, 2 hands, glove on the dirt, and able to corral it, make a nice play, and get the out.
Drew Lugbauer steps in, takes a big swing, trying to send us home with 1 swing of the bat. Missed everything. He's behind 0-1. We're now 3.5 hours into this game between Michigan and Eastern Michigan. 1-1 here in the bottom of the 12th. Harness trying to send us into the 13th, and he's ahead now 0-2 after a big cut from Drew Lugbauer. He got underneath it and sent it over towards Yost Ice Arena.
Lugbauer, 9 home runs on the year, 0 for 3 on the day, also a walk and hit by pitch.
Harness looking for a second strikeout of the afternoon, just misses outside to run the count to 1-2, trying to get Lugbauer to chase there.
Yeah, not a bad pitch to waste there. You got plenty going on, 2 outs, no one on. You can afford to waste a few pitches here.
The 1-2 pitch from Harness to Lugbauer, once again outside, evens the count at 2-2.
This is where Lugbauer could get a pitch to hit here.
Harness has thrown 90 pitches in an outing this year. He's at 64 heading into this at bat. Lugbauer gets underneath it. The wind will blow it well foul beyond the Michigan bullpen even. Eastern Michigan lost to number 6 Louisville 2-3 back on March 4th in a game that went 13 innings. Harness one pitch away from sending us to the 13th here at Ray Fisher Stadium. The 2-2 pitch swung on and sent foul once again. Well, out of play over towards the ice arena. We'll do it again at 2-2.
Everyone remaining in the stadium getting a little anxious here. Wolverines players on the top edge of the dugout really trying to get things going here with some sort of ritual dance.
The 2-2. Swung on, sent towards the first base and gets by the glove of Schumann. Lugbauer heading for second. The throw from right field in Montgomery, not in time. And with 2 outs, Lugbauer in scoring position at second base. The Wolverines not done yet here in the bottom of the 12th. A 2-out double by Drew Lugbauer into right puts the Wolverines 180 feet away from a walk-off win here in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, just a great job with 2 strikes to drive it over and pull it into the right field corner. Really no chance for Montgomery to get to that one.
Michael Berdar, or rather Miles Lewis, steps back in the batter's box. 1 for 5 this afternoon. Lugbauer remains in the game. Michigan can't afford to put pinch runners in at this point. We don't know how long we'll be here. The Wolverines hoping we'll be done after this at bat. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 12th. Lewis taking all the way on a breaking ball. Nice block behind the plate by Stidham to keep Lugbauer at second. 1-0 to Miles Lewis, who singled back in the 5th, and a single here might be just enough to win it for the Wolverines in this tie game. 1-1 between Michigan and Eastern Michigan here at Ann Arbor's Ray Fisher Stadium. We're in the bottom of the 12th between the Eagles and the Wolverines. Lewis readies to face the 1-0 pitch from Harness. Lugbauer at second. The 1-0 pitch to Lewis in the left-handed batter's box on its way. Taking once again at the knees for a called strike. The count even at 1-1.
That one looked really low. Really surprised that one was called a strike. I guess we're getting tired here. Thomas Newport's getting tired. Players got a lot of energy, though. Michigan dugout ready to go, looking for potential walk-off.
The 1-1 pitch just missing outside. 2-1. Eastern Michigan matching the dugout intensity. No player can be found anywhere but on the top step, hanging across that railing. Eastern wants to send us to the 13th. Michigan and Miles Lewis wants to send the Wolverines home here in this half of the inning. It's the bottom of the 12th. 2 outs, a runner at second in a 1-1 game. The 2-1 to Lewis. Taking once again, this time it paints the black of the outside at the knees for a called strike. The count even at 2-2. And Harness 1 pitch away from sending us to the 13th. Two outs here in the bottom of the 12th. Runner at second in this 1-1 game. Lewis readies for the 2-2 pitch. Looking for the biggest moment so far in his maize and blue career. The 2-2 pitch. Inside, check swing. It doesn't matter. Called strike 3. James Harness sends us into the 13th with his second strikeout of the night. And Eastern Michigan just will not say die in this game. And the team from Ypsilanti giving the Wolverines all they can handle in this afternoon's game. The second 13-inning game of the year for the Eagles. And we have it for you on the Michigan Baseball Student Radio Network, WCBN FM Ann Arbor. Andrew, at this point, is it just the first team to blink is going to lose, or can you still try to manufacture a run and get creative, or are you just looking for a pitcher at this point to make a mistake?
I think you're looking for any way to push a run across. I think the next team to score will be the winner. Obviously, that's the case if it's Michigan, but with Michigan's offense struggling as much as they have, you really hope this is just a one-game blip on the radar if you're a Wolverines fan and not a sign of things to come. I mean, this has been a dominant offense, clearly one of the best, if not the best of the Big Ten. They cannot afford to slip up with Oklahoma coming into town. This is a team that wants to host an NCAA regional, wants to win the Big Ten regular season and tournament titles, but if your offense plays like this, strands 13 runners, you're not going to be able to get the job done. So many players in scoring position. We'll give you the stats. Michigan batting 2 for 21 with runners on. For those of you scoring at home, .095 with runners in scoring position, 0 for 12 on the day. That's good for a 0 average. And with 2 outs, Michigan hitting 1 for 13. So just abysmal clutch hitting for the Wolverines. And we will see a new pitcher coming in here for the Wolverines. That's Carl Kaufman, the 6'2", 200-pounder right-handed freshman out of Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, attended Brother Rice High School. Only his 7th appearance of the year in his freshman year. He's pitched 8 1/3 innings, given up 5 hits, 1 earned run. Good for a 1.08 ERA, and just another good arm to come out of this bullpen. So a seemingly endless brigade of arms coming out of this Michigan bullpen to continue pitching well. You can't blame the Michigan pitching if they end up losing this game in 13 or more, but it's really going to be the offense to blame no matter what happens in this game.
The top of the 13th upcoming here. Mike Metashevsky, the left fielder, coming to the plate for the 6th time in this game. He's 0 for 5 coming into the 13th, and he well behind that pitch from Carl Kaufman, going with the gas for a high first pitch swinging strike.
7 strikeouts against 4 walks and 8 1/3 innings of work.
That pitch in there for a called strike. 0-2 now in favor of Kaufman. I think if you're a batter at this point, you know the umpires want to get home. They don't get paid any extra for this game going extra. The strike zone perhaps going to expand a bit. The 0-2 pitch, defensive swing taken and sent into the netting behind home plate to keep it at 0-2 and keep Metashevsky alive for at least another pitch.
As they've played all extra innings long, Michigan outfield continues to be in that no doubles look.
The 0-2 swung on, popped up, and it will get out of play above the press box here at Ray Fisher Stadium. Eastern Michigan and the 13th ranked Michigan Wolverines tied up at 1-1. Eastern Michigan scoring back in the 7th, Michigan back in the 2nd inning. We're now in the bottom of the 13th. No outs here in the top of the 13th. The 0-2 pitch popped up, tracking towards the Eastern Michigan dugout, and it gets out of play. We'll do it again at 0-2. Nice at-bat here this late in the game by Metashevsky to manage to keep his focus and stay defensive at the plate, not chase anything crazy, but do just enough to stay alive in the right-handed batter's box.
3 hours and 40 minutes in. We are down 21 degrees Fahrenheit in the game temperature from the starting 70 degrees Fahrenheit at 4:01 p.m.
The 0-2 pitch. In there, check swing. Did he go? He did not.
So he gets off the hook there, unlike the previous Eastern Michigan batter that had perhaps one of the worst called strike 3 on a check swing I've ever seen.
Metashevsky will live to fight another day with the 1-2 pitch. Outside, and that misses to run the count to 2-2. And now all of a sudden we see the strike zone shrink to appropriate levels once again. Here in the bottom, or the top rather, of the 13th in a 1-1 game. The 2-2 pitch. Blocked in the dirt, and that'll run the count full. Nice block by Lugbauer, but with the bases empty, relatively meaningless. Big pitch upcoming here, though, for Carl Kaufman and Mike Metashevsky, as Metashevsky looks to reach as the leadoff man here in the top of the 13th for the Eastern Michigan Eagles. The payoff pitch. Outside, called strike 3. Carl Kaufman comes out of the bullpen and gets the strikeout against the first batter he faces here in the top of the 13th. A nice pitch there for Kaufman.
Coming up next, Stidham and Williams due up next after that. Wolverines continuing to play very deep in the outfield. Do not want to give up a double. Do not want to let the potential go-ahead run get to second base.
Former center fielder, now catcher, Jeremy Stidham in there. He's 1 for 5 on the afternoon. Has struck out 4 times. He won't strike out here. He sends a high fly ball into right field. Tracking under it is Engelman for the second out of the inning. Much easier than the first at-bat Kaufman had against Metashevsky. Stidham goes down on 1 swing and a fly out to right. 2 away here in the top of the 13th. 8 hits for each side, 1 run for each side has sent us to extra innings. 2 errors against Eastern Michigan, none for the Wolverines so far. Brennan Williams, 1 for 4. had a double in the fourth and walked in the sixth. Also struck out back in the first. He's ahead 1-0 after taking a pitch low and outside with 2 outs here in the top of the 13th. 1-1 game, the 1-0. Check swing, he went. And that'll even the count at 1-1.
He actually wanted that one. That's a good call.
No appeal needed. Good call this time by home plate umpire Thomas Newport. Nearing his 4th hour of work today. The 1-1 pitch, swung on, sent foul behind home plate. 1-2.
And really impressive performance to take a top caliber team in the country to this 13th inning. We already saw that for Eastern Michigan against Louisville, finally succumbing in the 13th inning, and against Michigan in the 13th inning as well.
The 1-2 swung on and missed. Second strikeout of the inning sends us to the bottom of the 13th. Michigan remains 1 swing away from winning it. In their longest game of the season, can the Wolverine Bats provide one last magical play to send the Maize and Blue fans who've stuck around for nearly 4 hours home happy? And
Realistically, how many innings do you think they'll play of this?
Oh, before they call it?
Yeah.
There's no sign of rain in the forecast, and the lights here work very well. I don't see any reason to stop playing.
We'll be here.
I think, honestly, the reason they will just keep going is Eastern Michigan. This is essentially a home game for them as well. They live just down the road, so it's not like this is a getaway game or they've got travel arrangements. They're getting on a bus and driving 20 minutes down the road. So if both sides want to keep playing, and I don't think any side wants to flinch yet, let them keep going.
Yeah, Eastern Michigan has a chance to really get a marquee victory here. This is really one, if you're an Eastern Michigan player and you end up victorious here, this is one you'll remember this season for, coming into Ray Fisher and knocking off a very good Michigan baseball team. And if you're Michigan, you can't afford this loss. So they're going to keep playing, and a little bit under 24 hours from now, Eastern Michigan does have to be down in Columbus, Ohio to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. So
Michigan has a series starting Thursday, a pivotal series against Oklahoma.
And I see that you've brought up the Michigan softball schedule, throwing back to a absolutely controversial ruling as Michigan's taking the #1 team in the country. Florida State battled to a 5-5 tie. Florida State the opportunity to bat in the top of the 8th inning, which for you non-softball fans is the first extra inning in softball. And then Michigan didn't even get a chance to bat, and the umpires called it a tie as Florida had to get on their commercial flight out of town, and Michigan robbed a potential marquee victory in softball.
Back on April 18th, 2014, Michigan went 12 innings in a 7-6 win at Purdue. But trying to backtrack through their old schedules to see the last time they played 13, we're here at Ann Arbor's Ray Fisher Stadium in the bottom of the 13th. And Jake Bivens, the first baseman, now behind 0-2. James Harness still out there, 78 pitches. The 79th is grounded to the second baseman, hard charging, throwing on the run, not in time. Jake Bivens legs it out. Hager, the second baseman, made a good play and a good throw, but Bivens would not be denied first base, and he leads off with an infield single here in the bottom of the 13th. The winning run is at first base for designated hitter Nick Poirier.
Yeah, that one's really tough play for Hager. I mean, he's playing up the middle, and he has to track so far to his left. It was really impressive that he even kept it in infield and was able to snag it, but with the speed of Bivens, just unable to get the out there.
No outs here in the bottom of the 13th. The leading and winning runner at first in Jake Bivens. Nick Poirier up. He's 2 for 5 on the evening. Here in the bottom of the 13th, 1-1 between Michigan and Eastern Michigan. James Harness readies to deliver the first pitch of this at-bat. The third baseman charging in. Poirier showed bunt and then pulled back at the last minute, takes a cut and sends it foul into the Michigan bullpen. As Jones was a good 10 feet from home plate, waiting for the bunt, expecting Poirier to simply try to advance Jake Bivens into scoring position with no outs here in the bottom of the 13th in a 1-1 game.
Yeah, the last game I can really remember going on like this was 2 years ago against Northwestern. Michigan lost a 9-8 heartbreaker with a game that had about 3 separate rain delays and just kept going on and on and on.
Pickoff attempt, not in time. The last time Michigan went 13 innings, you have to go back to April 8th, 2012. Michigan against a Another in-state foe, Michigan State, here at Ray Fisher Stadium. The Wolverines fell 10-8 in 13. Hoping to flip the script today. Poirier lays down a bunt down the first base side. That's certainly going to move Bivens over. Poirier just thrown out a nice play coming off the mound. Was Harness to fire it down the first baseline in time for the first out of the inning. But Poirier does his job. Gets the Michigan dugout on their feet to give him a couple slaps on the hands. As Bivens is now in scoring position with one out here in the bottom of the 13th.
Coming up is Jonathan Engelman, the right fielder, 0 for 5 on the day. He's due up here for a big hit. A hit could very much end this ball game right here. Grounded double play that did bring home the only run of for the Wolverines in the second. Flew out to center field in the fourth. Grounded to a fielder's choice in the sixth and again in the eighth. And then reached base on an error by the shortstop Gill in the 11th, but was unable to come around and score.
Michigan looking for their first run since the second inning. This would be the winning run. 1-1 between Michigan and Eastern Michigan. We're in the bottom of the 13th here at Ray Fisher Stadium. The winning run at second. Bivens shows like he's going for a moment as this first pitch to Jonathan Engelman is sent foul on the first base or the third base line. 0-1. James Harness now has gone 6 and a third. Bivens infield single, just the second hit Harness has allowed in his 6 and a third innings of work.
Very, very impressive outing from James Harness. And also done it only 81 pitches.
A true freshman looking like a senior out there against the Wolverines. The 0-1 pitch to Engelman, sent back up the middle into deep center field. Tracking back is Peterson. Will it fall? It will. This is going to be a walk-off winner. Engelman's going to head for third. It won't matter because Bivens comes home safely. A walk-off double off the bat of Jonathan Engelman sends the Wolverines home happy here in the bottom of the 13th. 2-1 your final here at Ray Fisher Stadium. An absolute rocket off the bat of Engelman into deep center field. Peterson, no chance to make a play on it. And the Wolverines are walk-off winners today.
And just as we talked about, a great outing by Harness. Finally leaves a fastball up. That's one you could drive. If you're Engelman, that's exactly what he did. And he able to nail it over the center fielder, Peterson. Peterson was playing pretty shallow, hoping to cut down that runner for trying to come home from second. But as soon as it got over the head of Peterson, we knew Bivens was going to score. And I believe Engelman scurried all the way over to third to get the walk-off triple. And this is a big-time victory for the Wolverines. They could not afford to lose this game. Obviously used a few more pitchers than they wanted to and had to really work on offense, but able to get the W. And at the end of the year, if they're able to come out with a Big Ten title or hosting an NCAA regional, we're not going to remember this game. We're just going to remember this is a W on the sheet, and it moves Michigan to 26-7 on the year. Another big-time victory for this top 15 ranked team in the country, and a big series coming up against Oklahoma.
James Harness will be tasked with the loss, certainly not deserving. Just 3 hits given up in 6 and a third innings of work, but Michigan's timely hitting finally shows up in the bottom of the 13th for the first time since 2012. The Wolverines go 13, and this time they come out on top, the final 2-1 over the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Your Wolverines return to the field at 4 o'clock on Thursday against the Oklahoma Sooners. The Wolverines hopefully will take a little less time to come away with victories this weekend. We'll have those for you on WCBN Sports. On behalf of Andrew Hausman and the entire WCBN Sports crew, once again, the final from Ray Fisher Stadium. In 13 innings, Michigan 2, Eastern Michigan 1. Good night, and go blue from Ann Arbor.